This episode of Scab Talk is brought to you by Lethal Gaming Gear. And welcome back to Scab Talk, everyone. Today's episode, we're going to be catching you up on the Tarkov news that we have for you this week. Brand new quest lines in the game. We got tons of chatter within the Tarkov community, ethos space. A lot of it related to the flea market. So we're going to be diving into that, probably another deep dive. And that's probably going to be a significant bulk, but we got some other miscellaneous topics that we'll also discuss as well.
Yes, indeed. It has been a spicy week of discussion for many reasons, one thing or another. I don't know, it's weird. We're almost going into kind of like fever pitch Tarkov. It's like the release is coming closer, stuff's happening, and people are like, oh my God, like we're making changes the last minute and they're actually good, but now they need to be adjusted, and PSG is sort of listening, but at the same time, like the game, like technically speaking, is as scuffed as it's ever been. It's like it's very, very weird. It's a weird old time. Let's start with some of the news and stuff before we get too caught up in all of the various things. Let's start with maybe Nikita stuff. He did he sent a few posts here and there. There's a teaser, which I don't even know what it's supposed to. It's just like another one of these like random dev teasers. There's like a bunch of weird stuff. The first clip in there, actually, it's like somebody using a canted like on the edge of the gun at like 90 degrees.
Yes, I did see that. That is very odd.
It's very, very weird. And then the one thing that kind of caught people's eye from this, because it's only 24 seconds long, the main thing that caught people's eye was what people are calling the AK-308. I mean, I'm no way near a person to identify this stuff just from a short clip, but yeah, it's people saying it's like the 308 AK is in there. Now, the 308 AK is actually in Grey Zone Warfare. They brought that in the last update, I think. Not that I played it in that update, but it does exist. I didn't realize until that they added it that it is actually a real gun. So that's going to be in the game at some point. There was some discussion in my community as to whether it would be I kind of get the Velociraptor treatment, which is for those of you who remember, is the 300 blackout weapon that they added this white, which can't be modded at all, basically, and it's just like a really awful version of the MCX. So lots of people just really, really hate it. Like you can't really do anything with it. So maybe that will come. Maybe like if the rumors are to be, believed, which I think I think it's probably right. And then there's a funny post here which kind of piggybacked on it, right? Where somebody was just like, yes, let's add another AK to the game. We need optimization, Nikita. Nikita replied to him and just said, but I really want to add one more AK with like the crying face. So yeah, Nikita just like playing around. Outside of that, I think the other main one, which is probably, there's a bit of a background to this as well, which is that the bosses are up in a big way. They've increased the boss spawn rates by a lot, I would say. So they're for most bosses, they're up to 20. Killer is up to 15. I think Partisan is up to 15. Cultists are up to 10. But like 20% is a lot better, I would say. For like early wipe. Like seeing, going from 10, they changed it from 10 to 12 at one point, which is just kind of like, why bother, right? But seeing them one in every 10 raids versus seeing them one in every 5 raids is like that's a big change.
Yeah.
That's a big change, and I think that's good. So that's had like a big background to it of lots of people complaining about the bosses. And I think there's kind of, I don't think anybody really loses with the boss spawn change. I think in the past, they were always concerned about it because of people farming gear, but like you can farm gear way more effectively these days than farming the bosses. The boss gear typically is like not actually that good, and cheaters farming that kind of thing, it's not really a thing now, right? It used to be a thing, but it's now not really a thing. So we should just take the benefits that come with the bosses, is my opinion on it, where effectively people who are trying to go for Kappa, they really need to get those boss quests done. But if you don't have the boss quests and you're not going for Kappa or anything like that, even if you're a casual gamer, having the boss on the map is cool. It's like it gives you an opportunity to go and kill them. They do have some good ammo. It gives you an opportunity to kill them if you want to. But if you don't want to, there's probably going to be a huge mass Thunderdome brawl going on in the center, and you could just avoid it and do your tasks. So it gives the players choice about what to do, right? Like draws if there's a massive fight and there's bosses there, third partying, whatever, that brings in all the guys who want PvP, all the chads, whatever. It leaves everybody else more free to do their stuff. So
Yeah.
unless unfortunately you have to go to gas station or something and it's on customs and that's where all hell's breaking loose. But like again, it's your choice whether to go there or not. It's
Yeah. That
it's up
was
to you.
the thought I did have. Like, if they did hypothetically make it 100% spawn rate, right?
Hmm.
What would that look like? And it's like, as you said, you get all the benefits of early wipe and like the opportunity to get some good gear. However, in early wipe, a lot of times it feels like you don't want to do combat unless you have to, or like you want to, I
Yeah.
guess. So, but you focus on quests. So, like, if you had to go to dorms, for example, and Rashala was in dorms, like that would kind of suck. But
Yeah.
again, that's hypothetically we're talking about 100%. So like
Hmm.
in this scenario, this would only happen one in every 5 raids, which I don't know. I feel like it would be nice at the bare like in on one hand, I could see how 5% at the very start of wipe is nice for, generally speaking for everybody, for like the first week, because it's like you don't need to kill Rashala. Like it's a nice thing if you did, because you get to loot everything and then have to fight the scav swarm that comes afterwards. But regardless, but however, you could do your quests easier. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I think there's a happy middle ground.
I agree, actually. I think that's an important point about saying, okay, hypothetically, what happens if you take it to 100? I think that's actually a good question to ask because, yeah, you imagine like trying to do supply plans on woods and it's like Sturman's there every time
Oh
guarding it. It's like,
God.
it would just make it really bad, right? So yeah, it's good. And that's the thing, like having it a meaningful chance, but not all every time, then allows you to do stuff. Sad in chat's just saying exactly this. Sad's, Giga Chad style player, who I know pretty well. He says like, I charge Sawmill when I hear Sturman, but I stay away otherwise, right? The boss spawns change the raids randomly. And those kind of dynamic things in raid are always good. So I'm glad they've done this. Lots of people are like, praising, so
Hmm.
it's kind of at the point in the wipe where we've had the first few like Uber Kappa grinder people who've got their
Right.
cases, and then we're into sort of like the next wave of kind of that like top 10% of kind of
Hmm.
committed experienced Chad type players are like doing that now. They're doing the final stages of boss quests and killing and whatever. So that's why you sort of hear. I say me. Why I see it mostly on Twitter now is because it's kind of like that. It's funny. You got to like combine. It's like two different charts. You've then got to what's the word? I forget what the word is. There's a scientific and technical word for kind of like merging two charts together. I can't remember what it is now, but anyway, I would have known 10 years ago, but whatever. And it's like two charts of like who has the biggest voices out on social media, combined with then like what's their level and what is their goal, and like
Hmm.
now it's like the intersection of those people who have
Yeah.
allowed it,
Yeah.
also probably also needing all this stuff all at the same time. So yeah, so you hear that a lot, and like lots of people are just like, yes, this is a good change. And as I've argued, I think it actually is good for casuals as well. It gives people more choice. Um, so that is good. That is good. Definitely a good thing. Um, the where should we go? Where should we go next? Because like as I said, each part is kind of like big. Maybe we'll go neck. Should we go neck
Yeah.
hitbox?
I was just sliding that over. You read my
Okay,
mind.
cool. So neck hitbox. They've done an update. They said they were going to look at the neck hitbox for a while. Then they said something confusing last week. Convolve. That's the word I was thinking of, by the way, the technical term. The convolution of two charts.
Hmm.
Anyway, so the neck hitbox thing, they said they were looking at it. They said they're thinking about what to do. They said something confusing, which was interpreted by Nice Guy, who asked something else, and then said something else confusing, and I was a bit confused, and I was like,
Hmm.
I'm sure it's not going to work this way. Well, they've actually done it. So like, very, very ironically, right? Literally, the very last raid before this came through, because you had to close the game, do the update and then reopen it again. And the very last raid with the neck hitbox in the old format, I died to a single shot of M62 to the neck. Literally, just as like a parting grace, goodbye sailor, the old neck hitbox system, like see you later, just like got a 762 NATO right to the throat. Then closed my game and patched it, and that wouldn't have happened in the update. So what they've done is what I thought they would have done, which is they moved when you get shot in the neck, rather than the damage going to the head, it goes to the chest. That's it.
But what about the neck armor plates? I mean, soft armor.
Yeah. So the neck works the same way as it did. It's got the soft armor that it used to, whether you're wearing a soft armor or not, based on the armor of the rig or the plate carrier that you're wearing. And then it just acts the same way, except it's now to the chest. So like what's more interesting is obviously the ramifications of such a thing, rather than like necessarily the, what they did. What they did was quite simple, but what the ramifications of this mean is that, for example, if you just so happen to get shot in the neck with 7.62 NATO M62, that will deal, I mean, it's full damage, to be honest with you, which is, I don't even know actually, M62, it deals 82 damage. So you will take 82 damage minus a bit of distance related drop off to the thorax, and you will be alive on 3 health, mind, but you will be alive. Right? Not 3 HP overall, but 3 HP on your chest, right? Your chest will be 3 out of 85. So you get shot again, like probably kind of anywhere actually. Like you could get shot in the chest again, and I'll be wearing class 5, and the blunt damage will kill you. You can get shot probably in the arm, and it will kill you with the splash, the pass through. Probably, I would think. I need to actually check those things. But so it's not, it gives you a second chance, right? You can't just take like a rando bullet to the neck anymore and then just die and fall over and die, outside of some very specific situations. So the easiest way to think about it is that it is the chest now, just without armor plates. So if you're wearing, if you're wearing no armor, it's like getting shot in the chest with no armor on. If you've got class 2 like rig on that gives you class 2 armor protection, it's like getting shot in the chest wearing a packer. If you've got class 3 rig on, it's like getting shot in the chest whilst you're wearing, I don't know, the Coulon or one of those like single layer class 3 vests. And that's how it works. And so previously, basically anything that was 35 damage was the threshold, right? So it's 35 damage and above, you're probably dying, depending on the penetration as well. So with no armor, 35 and above, you're definitely dead. With class 2 armor, they need to have at least, somewhere in the 25 to 30 pen, and then the damage varies depending on, exactly how much. If you've got over 30 pen, you'll always kill them with class 2 on. If you've got over 40 pen, you'll always kill them with class 3 on, but then there's a bit of variability as well, etc., etc. So the rounds that will one-shot you are now the same rounds as the ones that will one-shot you in the chest, which is few and far between. And, the prime ones being things like PS12B, APM for 366, stuff like this that's got like high pen. Those are the only ones that like will guaranteed shoot through like a class 3 neck, right? So if you're wearing a Gazelle, for example, or you're wearing I don't know what else is good with class 2, like like a Gen 4 or something. Like you're going to get one shot in the neck if somebody's got APM, if they've got PS12B, blah blah blah. None of the others will one shot you, even if they've got high enough pen, because you've got 85 HP pool now. So it feels fairer, right? There's no armor plate over it, so it's only classes 0, 2, and 3 soft armor. But you get a second chance. You can't just like suddenly get spiked by a single pellet of Magnum Buck and die to the neck. It's in a place that's just like unprotected. So that's the deal. So it's like now everything's protected by at least class 2, I guess. If you do Death Shadow and all the other stuff, then you're protected by class 2 everywhere. So you kind of need the 25 plus pen to actually make sure that you kill somebody. So it kind of protects you against a lot of the random scab bullets and that kind of thing. Does this make the neck protection more valuable? I would say maybe, because there's a certain subset of bullets. So previously, right, it didn't really matter. There was like a lot of rounds that would just kill you no matter what you had on.
It's kind of binary. Was it a scab that shot a slug, or maybe not a slug, but something with like terrible pen and moderate damage?
Yeah, like 7.62, like SP. Or whatever. The scabs sometimes maybe have.
I don't know.
Yeah, like there's a couple of them, right? There's like SPBT, which is like 92 damage and 27 pen, which is a pretty evil one that scabs can have.
Yeah,
that can just kill you in one shot. But now, if you're wearing class 3, that won't kill you anymore. And it probably won't even with class 2 actually. I'm just running the simulation here. So like now 27 pen with 92 damage, that gets passed through a class 2 armor layer with some mitigation, takes the damage down to 77. So you don't die in a single shot. You will if you're not wearing anything, right? If you're not wearing any armor, that will kill you. Whereas previously it would kill you anyway, right? Class 2 and class 3, the damage was so pen chance was actually only half, but the pen damage was like 60. So like half the time, even 762 50R SP would kill you 50% of the time when you're wearing a gazelle or something. Now it will never kill you. But the class 2 also saves you. It's only having no armor that gets you killed. So like there's more situations now that matter for the neck armor. I think. I need to do it fully. I'm actually I'm making a video on it at the minute, but I need to go and like look through all the data and whatever. But it's impactful. It gives you a second chance. It's the short thing. That's basically it. Someone asked, what about armpit? I mean, armpit's like not a thing anymore because now the armor plates are full, all around coverage for everybody. The only difference is that you can still be shot through the side without soft armor underneath. That's the same thing as as last wipe when I talked about like the armors that are front plate. Only the front plate armors, they used to be worse and now they're better. The front plate armors have front plate around the side as well, whereas regular armors with side protection don't have front plate just under the armpit. So the armpit is protected by the plate no matter what, but you've got soft armor underneath there as well on things like the ACPC. Okay. But then you don't get any neck, right? So now it's more of a trade-off.
Yeah, because I had to re-educate myself because I was like, I remember there was some funkiness going on because they've changed the armor hit zones so much. So I had to watch your video because I was like, I feel like I'm doing something wrong because I had one experience where I thought I got armpitted, or maybe it was like thorax side. I can't remember, but it was like odd, right? And I think it's because I was using the 6B13, whatever that green camo heavy armor rig is called. That's like
the
class 4
6B5
soft.
Ulay, that one.
Yes. Because that one's all soft. But I remember at one point in time that was like, kind of like gold in the early white because it had no plates. It was just full soft coverage. Because back then the plates were like, you get this tiny little square, above your chest, or you got like this weird, obtuse looking, Russian plate that covers a little bit of your belly. Like it was just kind of weird, but less of your chest. Anyways, so I think that was my issue with getting, these weird like deaths because I didn't have a plate that gave me effectively a bigger hitbox protection. So yeah, I watched your video. I was like, oh my god, yeah, the MMAC's actually good because again, at one point in time, the logic was MMAC is trashed here,
Yeah.
It's so funny how we've.
I know it's flipped. Like they were distinctly worse, and then now they're like distinctly better.
Yeah.
And now we're kind of in some middle ground because it's flip flopped like backwards and forwards, and like depending on what they did, has got these like incremental weird like side effects to them.
Right.
It's super strange. So like the current state of play now is all the armors are the same from a hitbox perspective. The only difference is now exactly where the soft coverage goes. Regular armors like the Corund are front plate and thorax, right? There's two categories of armor. There's soft armor only, right? Like the Ulay, but no one really uses that anymore because double armor layer is always better than one. 4 plus 2 is better than 4 by itself because of this like cascading waterfall of pen. If you have a bullet with a pen of 40 and a damage of let's just say 50 for argument's sake, and it goes through class 2 first and then class 4, it goes straight through the class 2 and doesn't lose anything, and then it loses on the class 4. If it's the other way around, as it is in the game, it goes through the class 4 first, it loses damage and pen, and often that ends up putting it down into the range where it can then M85 6A1 for example might get it down to like go from 37 pen to 27 pen through the class 4, and then the class 2 actually can then work on it because it's like can catch it. It's like multiple layers like catching,
right?
So you've got that, and then so outside of the double layer is always better pretty much, as long as it's the same class. So like 4 on its own is strictly worse than 4 plus 2, and then in the regular armors where you've got double layer, you've got then the two categories. You've got the Corund style one, which is your front plate, back plate, and then also thorax, stomach. So you've got plate hitboxes and you've got PMC hitboxes. Those often come with neck. So that's your plus point. And now that that's been moved to 85 HP, there's a lot of situations where you'll either just take a lot less damage, you'll take no damage. Like shotguns, if you get hit in the neck, you're basically going to take no damage, which was the case. That was still the case before, but there's still these situations where there's like some like sort of half decent rounds from scavs that might just kill you. You know, like especially if you get 762 PS'd. That's a classic, right? Or 762 by 39 T45 because they've got 30 and 35 pen. They'll go through all the soft armor, and before they would just one shot you, whereas now they don't. And there's damage reduction, so I don't think they can even. Maybe they can 3-hit you. I don't know. I'd need to run the sim. I'm not sure. So that's the thing. They've got separate hitboxes, but they've got neck. But then you've also got the rigs, which just say front plate. They've only got front plate. They don't have thorax, which means that now in the current iteration, it means the soft armor follows the plate wherever the plate goes, and the plate goes under the arms. This is the same for the Krund too, but it goes under the arms. So the Krund has front and back soft armor, but nothing in the armpit. It's got sides, but nothing in the armpit area. Whereas the AACPC has soft armor wherever the front plate is. So it's front and back and around the armpit, because the front plate is also under the armpit to stop people dying. But these ones then have the disadvantage of there's a little hole at the front between the arm, under the arm armor, and the front plate, where there's a little gap. And because the soft armor follows the plate precisely, there's a hole where you have no armor. Whereas on the Krund, you have like class 2 in that slot. So if you could like thread a magnum buck through that, you have no armor there. But I mean, it still won't kill you straight away. The one that used to get you was, and it got me, was 762 HP, because it used to have 87 damage or something. And if that like slides through the ASCPC, bam, you just so instantly die. And I put a post up about it, and they changed it actually to, I think it now does 80 rather than 87 or something. So that won't kill you anymore. But there's still, there are other ammos that'll do it. And there's a 3661, either FMJ, I can't remember. But it's few and far between. It's not common. So, but yeah, and now basically going to be choosing between like, do I want meta protection 5+3 under my arms against players, or do I want class 3 around my neck to stop me getting hit by 762 SP from a random scav? It's more of a choice now, I think, in my opinion. There's a greater range. Like previously, I just said screw the neck protection, right? Just get good at killing scavs, and then be good against. You'll have like better armor against players, but obviously that's not always possible. But I just thought that was usually my choice. Like I'm more scared of players than I am of scavs. But now it's like, well, now there's actually a whole bunch of stuff that you might survive against, and player scavs too. They've got all these like weird ammos that won't get neck shotted through. Even if you don't choose that, right? As I said, there's only a very small handful of things that will one shot you in the neck now, because even though you've got no armor there, you have to deal 85 HP damage to kill you. So there's not many rounds that will do that. It's basically shotgun slugs, some of the HP bullets, like random stuff that no one ever uses, like Warmage, Whisper, that kind of thing. So overall, good change. I think it's less variance. And if you get killed in one shot, it's now a headshot, right? It's jaws and face. So good.
It is interesting because, as we said before, I won't harp on too much, but we've kind of done like a full circle in a sense. And it's interesting to me how the Tarkov SP realism mod, basically has a very similar system to what was originally implemented by BSG. So if you like that system, there is that still in some form of existence. But I think, I don't know, I think when it comes to the high intensity of PvP, like it's just gonna feel very bad if it's too much of a dice rolly and less of a like a chess based system. Like, oh, he moved, quadrant A2, I left lean shoulder swap slow peek, you know what I mean? There's like, I don't know, something about like the dissecting or like the art of a firefight that can be very thrilling. Like I had this one fight that was really, really fun. So I'm gonna take a moment and describe it. I had a pistol. I had a 5.7 suppress that I found. Or I got off a player or something. Yeah, I think I got off player. So I had brought that in because I still hadn't done stir up yet. I'm like, high 26 and we're on streets. We kept spawning at frickin' theater. God, that area of the map sucks so much. So we were like,
tell me about it, man.
Man, we were trying so many strats. We were like, let's just camp theater. We'll loot the entire theater, and then we'll go down the street. So we did that, right? This is going to be a tangent, but we did that. As we got halfway down the street, the scavs spawn in behind us and start suppressing fire us, and we're like, oh shit, we gotta take cover. Because we can't like see them really, it's like because we were literally there for like 15 minutes of the raid, right? And there was zero scavs, but as soon as we leave, we instantly there's a scav up top on the like scaffolding or whatever it's called. Because I'm pretty sure that was the case. We left the spawn zone and they spawned. Anyways, so then I like run into the nearest like arch alleyway, and then there's a player there and just mows me down. I'm like, okay, great. And then that was like a complete crapshoot. So, anyways, this time around, we just like, okay, so if we're spawning theater, we're like just beelining it to the little office area, and then we're gonna beeline it and through construction, right? Or like the industrial zone. Like we just need to get out of this cursed land known as theater. So we did that. We make it out of the office just barely into construction. And my teammates, he's my duo, he's ahead of me. And he's giga chat up. I love the way he plays because like any cool gun, like any good gear that he gets, he'll just throw it on and use it. So he's got like the samurai armor, a Thor helmet with like a face shield, this like pimped out AK or whatever he's got. And there's people around around the bend, on the other alleyway, just as you come out the office. I guess there's like a toolbox and another archway from theater. So they probably had the same idea. They're like, let's just get the heck out of Dodge to go down. So anyways, he kills two of them, and it looks like it's all clear because I come around the corner, and then I see him getting shot from like a little cut where there's a car. So some guy mows him down basically, and so I go in, I shoot him, clean it up, and so I'm like, okay, surely, 3 players dead, like surely this is enough. But no, I see a figure, like a shadowy figure in the archway from a distance, like, oh crap. So like I ran, repeated it, shot, we traded a little bit, and then I think eventually like I killed him, right? So I'm like, okay, 4 bodies plus my teammate's body. I'm like, gotta ditch his gear. So I grabbed his gear, ran all the way up to the abandoned factory, march room, but went up to the very tippy top and threw it in a corner. Hopefully no player scav went and, found it. But anyway, so I go back because that's like, okay, time to loot, baby. I mean? Yeah. And then when you know it, there was another player. Another player was in this area. So I was fighting him. At some point I picked up a Scar L, like just the gun from one of the players. So I had a little bit of range, and I'm like shooting him at the windows down to where all these bodies are at from the industrial warehouse is. I didn't kill him. I don't really remember what exactly happened, but eventually he was like pushing into the building. And so I pulled out the pistol because I only had like, 15 rounds in the Scar L at that point. And I shoot at him, he shoots at me. And so I run back the hallway, but then I like do a double back, like to fake him out. And I tried to shoot at him, but I missed because I was like going for the headshot. I was like, crap, I just like missed. Like that was such a smart play, but I just like failed on the execution. So then he comes up, and now we're like doing this crazy hallway fight where like I swing out and just like start shooting, and he's not there, and I'm like waiting. And then like he like sprints back and forth, and like we just had this really crazy fight. So eventually, we kind of like we basically do this dance, but then he gets really aggressive and starts pushing the hallway. And so like I think I like half peaked, like or half peaked, or like we were leaning and shooting, whatever. And at one point, he stopped shooting, and I heard him reload. I was like, "Oh my god, this is my chance!" So I push out in the hallway. I'm aiming right at his head, and I'm just like spamming the button, but nothing's happening. And in my head, I'm panicking. I'm like, "Why is my gun not shooting?" And then I realize I know why my gun's not shooting. I'm also out of ammo because he was reloading, but I was so I had to run back into the doorway, trying to get the reload off, and he comes in and kills me. And I was like, "No, that was like," but it was like such a long. Like it wasn't M61 from Jupiter. It was like such a long, drawn out fight, which
it's
love.
fun at least.
Yeah, so much. Like I was totally satisfied. Like yes, so much loot, is to be had, but he's gonna have to fight Scav Nation, so whatever. He's gonna have his own. He's gonna have his own storyline to tell. But
More money, more problems.
yeah, but yeah, I
Yeah.
love the long firefights. So having that more
Oh,
consistent feeling allows for that. Whereas like I think it's single player Tarkov, you can have the very high realistic. You're basically like super vulnerable, and you have to play very even more like what's the word I'm looking for? Like you're so fragile that it kind of works better for the AI because they're so like robotic and more
mm,
predictable. Um Whereas you're playing against a player, like it's just like you just never know they're unpredictable, which makes the unpredictable armor his own feel even worse. Like we were doing
yeah.
factory and I was just getting shot to the top of the head every single time, and it was like, just like they didn't even get a chance to shoot my gun because they had like SP5 or no SP6, and someone had like SPP a different
Oh,
time. Like, yeah, so
okay.
my class 4 helmet was just like paper mache.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
just like yeah.
Oh man, it's certainly been a time. While we're on the tangent, like I had like a very very rough day the other day, and I did play quite a bit of streets, and I spawned in the theater spawn
Mm,
many times, and I keep spawning in that corner one as well, like literally the one in like the store, and it's like to your left there is the car exfil and a player. To your front there is the whole road of the relaxation room and a player, and it's just like I'm like, what I'm like, I either like run out and die, or like I stay for like 5 minutes and do nothing, like try to wait it out,
yeah, it
whatever. It's just
sucks.
like, it's just really, really tough. Right? I had a couple of, I just few different moments. Like I ran out at nighttime on one of them, and I was like, all right, let's just run straight across the road under the big kind of like theater sort of staircase kind of thing, like on the underneath bit where the BTR stops. I was like, fine. That like kind of gets rid of the guy on the left, at least because he can't see me now because I'm underneath the staircase thing. And now I just have to worry about the guy in front of me who's like that player, that person who spawned there. I've been killed so many times by that player. It's just so annoying. So I'm just like, right, waiting, 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 watching, and then bing to the head. And I'm just like, where exactly? Like I actually looked at the clip this morning because I was just like trying to understand exactly where they were, and I do not see them. I genuinely don't know where they could have been. I like looked at the clip a few times. I just don't know. I'm like next to the pillar, right? I'm looking out down the relaxation room. Not, yeah, that is where I mean. Yeah, the relaxation room, like street kind of thing, but it's at an angle, right? Because I'm like looking at, there's a room in front of you with the door on the left. Relaxation room comes off at an angle, so you can't see down the whole street because I'm under the stairs by the theater, right? And like the guy spawns, he must spawn around there somewhere. And I was like, maybe he's in one of the windows. But I like look to the windows, there's nobody there, and it's just bam, single shot, dead. I'm just like, do not know where they were from. Not sure if it's suspicious or not. I've just got no freaking clue. I don't know. But I had like so many others on that day. I'm up in Concordia. I hear Scav like scuffling around, blah blah blah. Oh, it turns out it's not a Scav actually, but they're just like wandering about, but I can't really tell because of the audio. And then I'm like, oh, maybe the Scav's coming up into my room actually. And then all of a sudden, there's somebody strafing, and they just go straight headshot around the door. And I'm like, really? Like 200-hour play? I was like, my God, like I never normally see suspicious stuff. And I was just like, it was just raid after raid after raid after raid. And I was like, man, this is awful. And it was the day the flea market reopened. And I was like, there's something going on here. Like, this surely is not just me. This is not just me. It can't just be me. Um, and later on, I watched Festily's video, and he was just like, yeah, the cheater thing's got really crazy. I asked a few other people, and they were just like, yeah, it's really spiked up. Like, loads of people were just like, it's spiked up an absolute ton.
Hmm.
Just like, just loads compared to pre-flow. Some people were saying like, oh yeah, it was happening previous to that. Like the week before the flea opening, people were saying it was, but like it seemed fine to me. And there's also a player-based thing too, right? Because the raids are full, they're like full of people as well. So it's hard to know. It's hard to know. But
What's the thinking behind the correlation between Flea opening and spike in cheaters allegedly?
I don't really know, actually. Like, I don't
Hmm.
know enough about the cheating community to actually really know. I'm just sort of reporting my anecdotal feedback around like my experience so far, which
Hmm.
is of somebody as a creator, I see a disproportionately low number of suspicious encounters. I would say there's basically like me and Hayes normally, who coincidentally both play EU afternoons, EU West in the afternoons, which I think is probably one of the better cheater regions in the first place. And
you mean the better legit regions?
yeah, there's just less cheating that goes on, I think, and especially in the afternoon in EU, I think it's just like one of the lowest regions for that kind of stuff. So usually it's people going like, "Oh, cheaters are crazy," and it's usually me and Hayes just being like, "Don't know, man. Like we'll never see them." But yeah, so like when I see like a huge uptick and it coincided with the Flea opening, I was just like maybe there's something here I don't know. And there's lots of other people seem to be reporting a similar thing. Again, it's all anecdotal. We don't have any numbers. There's no stats, so you can't ever really know. But the flea market, it's a lot harder to make a ton of money without the flea. So it's harder to launder rubles without the flea. It's harder to sell RMT without the flea, I would think.
Yeah.
I mean, items are still valuable, I guess. You can go and loot items, but it's like I don't really know. I don't really know.
I was thinking too, like even just from like a gamer perspective, whether you're cheating or not, I mean, you're still playing a game, so like presumably you still want to like experience enjoyment, right? And then maybe just the very fact that the flea market exists now, makes the game a lot more. There's a lot of adjectives I could put there, but it makes the game a lot more convenient. We'll say, it's like you could just you could kill a player, loot them, and instead of selling their stuff to the vendors, you can now flip it on the flea and presumably make more money, or so I and then with that money you can then buy the stuff you need for your crafts or gear that you like or whatever. I was going to say hideout, but then I quickly realized you can't do that. At least the initial upgrade zone. So I don't know. Maybe it's just a simple thing. Like it's just more. What was the word I used again?
Convenient.
Yes, it's more convenient. So it's like, but I could see. I could. It's definitely perhaps more likely that it's just easier to do RMD.
I think maybe it's that as well, because you can do stuff like I'm sure you can circumvent it in some ways, right? You can like put items up, and as long as you know where the thresholds are, and I'm sure the cheaters do, right? They get enough iterations. If they get it wrong, they just buy a new account, so they know where the iterations are. Where put an item up and someone buys it. Like if it's not crazy, then for example, right? I was telling everybody yesterday, and I actually couldn't be bothered, so I stopped doing it. And also, I did feel a little like you're kind of named and shamed on the flea when you do this stuff, so it's a bit scummy. But I was like showing people like I did the gunsmith old friend request because I did the video, finally made the video for it, and T5000 is like one of the components, and the T5000 is locked, so you have to buy it off the flea market. But the rail is also not on the traders, like the top rail. So most people are selling them without the rail, and then you buy it, and then you're like, oh, I need the rail, and the rail's like 100K on the flea because people are just taking them off. So what you can do is you go on, and you buy a T5000, and then you take the rail off, and then you list it back up again, and you list the rail separately. It's like super, super easy, right? And then you suddenly make 200K rather than making 100K, whatever. And you can buy, and because you can flip, and I did it like once for that just to see whether people would buy it, and they absolutely do. And I mean, I had to do it. I had to buy a rail off the flea myself to do the quest and actually make the guide. But then I was like, oh, hang on a sec. I also got caught by something else where I was like, I bought a red T5000 because I was just like, oh, that's fine. I'll just put a pistol grip on it. Oh crap, it only takes the T5000 pistol grip. Let me just go and find, there aren't any. So that was kind of my thought, and I was like, damn it. So I was like, you can actually take this even further. You can buy a T5000 off the flea market, even without the rail. You can split the pistol grip off, and then you sell the T5000 for like 80K. Like 30K under. So do exactly what I did, which is I went on there and was like, oh, I'm sure I can probably just stick a pistol grip on this. I'll take the 30K discount. Someone buys it without thinking too much about it, making an assumption like I did. And then you go to look at the grips, and there are none. And there's one listed by yours truly for 249,999 rubles. And because people are kind of stubborn, rather than thinking, I'll just go and buy a different T5000 and sell this one to the trader, they're like, oh, or they do the build, right? Not even realizing, and press like to buy all in the gunsmith. Thing. They're like in the weapon builder, right? So I had somebody bought a grip for me for 250K, and I was just like, right, that's it. I'm not doing it. I did it the one time. for science, I'm not doing it again, right? I had like some people. I literally was like refreshing it and like naming and shaming people out of my chat, being just like, "You're a filthy scammer. You're a filthy." Like I can see the listings going up, right? I'm just like, "Who's in my chat called this?" And someone's like, "Yeah, it's me." I'm just like, "Yeah." Yeah, it was just funny. I don't. I mean, it doesn't matter, right? It's just entertaining. But I was like, I'm not actually sure. Like, I'm not actually sure if I want to do it. Like,
Mhm.
feel free. Go, you guys go wild. I was like, I'm not sure if I want to do it. Right? I'm looking at people like, oh no, I bought this gun with my last like 80 rubles just so I can get this gunsmith thing done, so I can get my plate case because I'm so full. I'm a standard account player, and I work in the factory and I get 2 hours of Tarkov every six months, and I have 8 kids, and whatever.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
they see who's selling the pistol grip. It's GigaBeef, and I'm the only one, and it's 1/4 rubles. And they have to liquidate themselves. Yeah, I'm gonna get like, I guess someone's gonna go to the
Hey,
ombudsman or whatever.
right. Your next arena match, they're gonna be like, "GigaBeef, is that you? You scammed me out of a T5000 rail and pistol grip curses."
It wasn't me. It wasn't me. It was the fake GigaBeef.
It was
The
the
45-year-old American GigaBeef.
yeah, the NA GigaBeef.
Yeah.
I
For
had to
anybody who didn't see that clip, that somebody mistook me for, or was trolling, or I don't know, and said I was the fake GigaBeef. It was quite funny.
I despise systems like that because it's just like it is just quite literally a new player trap. And worst of all, it's like the um presumably the person, if knowledge is power, this person has the power, and now they're like using social engineering against those that don't have power to then, in a video game build up wealth for themselves. It's just like just why do we have this system? It doesn't, like, why BSG? And then worst of all is like people just do the build and the guns, the guns screen, and I guess skill issue. You didn't look at the numbers, but like it just makes sense to me that like the trader would sell the rail. It's like
Yeah.
I guess
You know
you can't
why?
buy the T5000 from the trader, right? There isn't a trader
You
that sells
can, but
it.
there's a quest or something. That's why it's locked. That's why most people are buying it from the Flea, because I can't remember what quest it is that you need to do. But it's one of those things where it's like the reason. Well, this that's multi-layered in this for this particular example. The reason why no one sells the rails for this stuff is because no one uses the gun. So like
Right,
it's never come up
right,
because
right,
no one uses the T5000. It's like nobody ever uses it. It's like heavier than the others. Like, yeah, it's got straight pull on it, but that's basically
right,
the only good thing
right.
about it. Nobody ever uses that weapon. So no one's ever complained, and so they basically have never bothered putting it on the traders. It's probably the same as it was at inception, irrelevant and never used.
Yeah, and you're
Pretty much immediately
literally
vended.
the gameplay is like you literally got the wiki open and you're just doing a checklist here, and then
Hmm.
someone's like just exploiting the inefficiencies of the system and
Hmm.
plays. It's not at all interesting. It's just, yeah, I
Yeah,
just, and I still just can't fathom that we still have trader flipping. I just feel like that's so bizarro. Like I
yeah,
didn't even think about that. You could just buy all the T5000s on the fleet and just do this thing.
and just burn them. You could just sell. You could just
Yeah.
sell them to the trader.
I mean, yeah, you exactly. You could just be I just don't know why. It's just can't comprehend it, but whatever.
Yeah, it's silly, but I mean, a lot of these things in the game have gone. And this is, I think, the player base has been like detrained out. Like it used to be, touch the flea market at your peril, right? It's just like
Oh yeah.
if you just auto click on stuff without really thinking about it, it's just like you're going to accidentally buy, an 8K butt pad for 5 red cards or a red rebel or whatever. There's like, you remember all the barter scams, like all of it. Oh, I'm going to buy up all of the items, like these are the crazy ones, like things that are in thin demand. So for example, like that, right? It's like you post up, and actually you could probably do this in this circuit. You might get killed by the fee though, so I don't think it would work. But for example, I would just assume the fee's not there for a minute because it works with some item. This is all the secret flea market, like scams, basically, that still function. Things like, oh, there are no T5000, or there's a very small number of T5000 pistol grips, and they're 30,000 rubles, something like that. And what you do is or like you buy up a bunch of the ones. There's just not that many, so you buy up a bunch of them, and then you list it in US dollars at like 2,459, right? But because there's only like 3 items in the list, the sorting is like not as obvious.
Mhm.
And so it's like, oh, 3,000, like, yeah, 30,000 rubles, 30,000 rubles. Oh, that one's like 24,000 rubles. And you click it, and then, oh no, it was 24,000 USD, but you didn't read the symbol. But because the list is short, you didn't notice, right? There's like, that still happens sometimes for some
Oh,
items that are like
wow.
in thin demand. Because obviously it doesn't work if the list is long, because it sorts it
Right.
by like lowest to highest, and then it's at the bottom, so no one ever
Right.
sees it. You need like a small, like 2 or 3. You need a reference. If it's just one item on its own, people go, "What is that?" But if it's 3 items, people are just like, "Oh, 3, oh, 2,000. Ah, buy that one." And then they just like, and then they
Mhm.
suddenly, oh, they realize that monkey brain just click. Ah, you know, this is the thing. So yeah, there's not that many of them left. So people have been trained out of like, there's even things like, oh, you're listing this for way too low a price or way too high a price. Are you sure? Right? Stuff like this has come to the game, which it never used to be, right? The number of times people used to accidentally list their like thick items case after get, because remember, you used to be able to sell this stuff on the flea market, right? So you used to be able to people list their thick items case accidentally for like, 100 grand rather than, 10 mil or whatever, because they missed out 2 zeros and they pressed go and they didn't realize they did it too quickly. There's just like, there were so many things back in the day that
Remember
were,
when you could do barters and people would be like, yeah, you want a pack of sugar, give me your Red Rebel or whatever.
Mhm.
There's like so like that.
Yeah.
Like if you looked at anything without the barter filter turned off, the first like couple of listings were all just scams. Like,
Yeah.
and I hate
Exactly,
it.
and they'd pick items, and a lot of this has been fixed too. They'd pick items with really low intrinsic Tarkov values,
Right.
but had
Right.
high player values,
Yes.
because it would put them above the real listings on the Flea, because it was like, oh, the Red Rebel back then had like a value of 10,000 rubles or something stupid. I don't think it ever did, but there was a bunch of
Right.
items that were
Right.
expensive, like labs cards and things, that were intrinsically low value to the trader, but flea market wise at a very much higher price. But the game orders things based on the intrinsic price. And as I said, they fixed a lot of this a long time ago. But back then you could do all sorts of shenanigans. The flea market was full of terrors. I remember like you'd see it on Reddit constantly, and I send it to my friends and just be like, look, some bozo got scammed. Like, this is, some hilarious thread about how somebody managed to lose like 25 million or whatever. It was outrageous. It was outrageous, genuinely outrageous. So a lot of that's gone away, but yeah, it's just a bit of, it's just a bit,
Yeah.
bit
I
annoying.
just hate it because the whole concept, and then also it's just at the end of the day, it's just a new player trap. So like any new player is, it's just like, why the game's already like against you? Why
Hmm.
why like have these systems in place where it's like even more against you at the expense of knowledge, and
Yeah.
then someone else profiting off your, it's, I don't know, I just fundamentally I just hate it. But
Yeah, but I
anyways,
mean, in fairness, they got rid of most of it. So
yes, of
this
course.
this is probably a good time to then talk about the flea, right? We're talking about the flea
Yes, we
right now,
might
so
as
let's talk about
well.
what's been going on with the flea. We may as well.
The
We'll talk about the
cat's
BTL
out
stuff
of the
later
bag.
because it's kind of more fun. But yeah, the cat is indeed out the bag. So Nikita's posted 2 tweets. The first one, it's kind of a non-question really. We just said, "What is the most important thing?" So a lot of people are saying what I said, which is performance, anti-cheat, audio. That's like the 3 things people care about right now. The performance is awful. The cheating situation seems to be out of control in a way that I have, and I don't want to understate this, right? Like, for me to be openly talking about cheating on Twitter, and my experience talking about Twitter is practically unprecedented. Like, I have never experienced the cheating situation like it is right now. I've literally never seen the game this way. Like, I'm not a Chad streamer. I don't get targeted. I never see people flying. I never see people, calling my name out. That literally never happens. It never happens to me, right? And right now the situation is like off the charts. I've never seen it. It's not even like I've never seen it this bad. It's like I never see it, and now it's constant. It's like it's on a scale that I have. Like, I'm actually shocked. I'm shocked as to how bad it is all of a sudden. And for me to be seeing it this way, it's not good. And lots of other people are saying it. So performance is bad. Anti-cheat seems to be something they really need to work on. I think it's because Unity 2022 has opened up a ton of loopholes. That's my personal opinion. I don't know whether that's true or not, but it seems likely. And then audio, some of it's still getting used to it, but there's definitely something not right about the way the audio is. There's like, people can just, and scabs in particular, because they're more likely to actually do this, but they can just turn up.
Yeah, I
Next
do
to you.
feel that a lot.
And you can be wearing like a top tier headset, like Comtech 5s, Comtech
Yeah.
6s, and you'll be in a building, right? You've got the best hearing on. Like, I've got a headset. I'm not even wearing ULAC. I'm not wearing a headset that reduces hearing. For that, got technically the best audio you can have in the game. And then suddenly, One and Suka, the guy's in the building. He's come up the stairs. He's crawled down the corridor, and he's right next to you, like literally like 2 meters away. Based on the testing I did, you can still hear somebody crouch walking at full speed. And sorry, even at min speed by 5 meters away.
Did you
And
test
so
no
people are
headset?
just appearing. I did in some circumstances just for the range, but I didn't for the other ones. I tested
'Cause
like just Minimax.
I've noticed a weird thing. So next time go into an offline raid on like an open map like woods, right? And wear heads and everything. And for me, when I shoot my gun, it's very loud, right? And then as soon as I reload, it's a completely different sound profile. And I don't know why, and it's so bizarro. Like I can't really.
That's a really old bug that used to happen on like offline raids. I have actually seen some
Oh,
people talking in
okay.
chat about take your headset or like take it off and put it back on again.
Yeah,
There
because
actually might be a bug going on right now with that. I
I
haven't tested it though.
I'm very skeptical about, because every time I wear a headset, I feel like I just like the game's quieter, and I don't like that
Mm.
feeling because then it feels like I'm unsafe. Like I was wearing the one of the helmets that covers your ears, and it's like I I tell him I do it like I'm scared. Like I can't hear anything. You go first because I feel
Yeah.
like I'm blind, basically.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Auditorily blind. It's like it's bad.
definitely. Like I would describe the audio of this wipe as like hyper occlusion. It seems
Mm.
like it used to be I could hear a scav approaching a door when it's closed, but now it's like they're completely silent. And then they
Yeah.
open the door and it's like they're still silent virtually. The door's very quiet. And like there's been sometimes we were looting something and we just start getting shot at while looting because it's just like they're just silent. So
Yeah.
I don't know. And I'm not another thing I had is we were doing a factory and there was a guy at the uh office. We were at like the vending machine and I was like, I'm really messed up because we were like fighting with him. I need to go into the bathroom to heal. And then he started fighting my duo. And then he's like, I'm really messed up. I need to come to the bathroom to heal. I was like, okay, I'm kind of healed up. Let me go up behind him and, flank. Like I was just kind of like a YOLO play. And so I go up the stairs, I come all the way up, and now he's like in the office, but he's like leaning out the door looking
Hmm.
down. And I just come up behind him and he's like oblivious to me and I just kill him. And I was like, well, that was weird. I'm assuming I was just like, and I just like full sprinted up the stairs and everything. So I'm
Yeah.
assuming it was just like hyper occlusion.
Have you, and this kind of, I think this is maybe the crux of something. I've been writing down some notes, going through my raids recently. Have you had any bad, weird audio outside
I mean, the only
that you can think
example
of?
that comes to mind is the occasional weird reverb, double, triple
Mm.
sound. And we had one instance where it was like we were getting shot at, which was like the combination of the visual and the auditorial bugs.
Yeah,
But
the bullet crack bug kind of thing.
otherwise, I can't really say anything.
Yeah, I think the internal audio is broken, and I don't do any testing on inside audio
Mm,
right now. I test only on customs outside on that road. I've never tested inside, and all of the weirdness that I've had recently, it's all inside. So there's like what do I call it? The scav exit, the near Kamchatka Arch or whatever, that building, like the museum
yeah,
building.
yeah, yeah.
I was in the top floor of that building at the end, and the scav, that's one of the ones I'm thinking of. Scav literally turned up. I like went into the corridor, and there he was, One and Suka, like right in my face. Like, how did he get up there? Right? Like, I was not making any sound. I was basically camping. That's another story about streets. The very very short story is I spawned in that building. There's no way to get across the road because it is a literal dead end. There's another spawn at both ends of the street. So I just stayed inside. A guy
Yeah,
ran up
yeah.
past me. I killed him. I was like, fine, well, I may as well loot the building. I just need to wait for a minute because I'm going to get swarmed otherwise. The scav turns up. Then a duo turns up, push me into the back room. I kill one of them and the second guy kills me. So I was just like, leave my spawn, man. But like, yeah, in the combination of all of that stuff, I also was upstairs and the scav like walked in. I had one in interchange. I spawned south, ran up, was going through the hole between the two car parks towards ramp. And as I got to the hole by the minibus, I heard somebody kind of like by the escalator kind of thing on the right. So I stay behind the minibus. I hear step, step, dead. And I was just like, how is that even possible? Like, did they keep going round the minibus and shoot me from the left? Like, maybe they were like a full sprint, but there's just no more sound. There's no more audio at all. And like, it's a long way. So I was like, they didn't crouch walk from the bottom of the stairs, right? Like I could see the bottom of the escalator. There's just no way that they got there without like walking, running, something. They didn't go slow walk all the way around and then shoot me, right? It was like, it's just like step, and I'm looking.
Timing can't
and then
up.
2 seconds later, I'm just dead. It just doesn't make sense. There's so many of these weird situations inside. That means I really feel like I need to do some more testing on it. There was another one, main sparger in like next to construction in streets, and I was inside behind one of the shelves. I hear breathing from a USAC. Then nothing. I lean out around the shelf. There's an unheard dude headshots me. I was like, excuse me? Like, and I'd literally just seen that doorway, right? So he was like outside. So there's just nothing. One step and a breathing sound. He's in the room with me. And then I'm killed. I was just like, I'm just so like, I'm just going mad. I'm just going crazy.
You know, you've kind of reminded me. I've noticed with windows, like when you're closer to the window, you can hear outside, right? Which is like, oh, that's cool. And then as you approach away from the window, it's like there's a delay on that hearing, but also there's like a curve where it's transitioning. So like imagine it's like a 100 millisecond delay as you're leaving, where you can still have like good hearing, but then as you keep leaving the window, the curve starts kicking in. And so I wonder if the inverse is true, where people, like imagine the scav scenario, like we're in mechanics, the scav approaches the door, zero audio because he's like still within that, hyper occlusion presumably exists. But we probably should hear him a little bit. The door opens. We don't hear the door because it's still like in that range, and then Wanansuka, it's like, and he starts shooting, and it's like, I don't know, because there's also some oddities with the scavs and doors. This wipe, I mean, I've seen your clip where he breaches the door closed, and I've seen them like shoot the door and open it. Like there's something wonky with the scav.
The desynchronization of client versus server on door opening is just like completely screwed, right? Scavs they walk up to an open door, they close it, and then warp through.
Yeah,
it's just bad.
So I wouldn't be surprised if like hyper occlusion / any like environmental objects do some wonky stuff. I'd be interested to see any preliminary testing, because you bring up a good point. Internal audio, like every time a scav like snuck up on us, basically has been doors are closed and they're just like silent until they're shooting at us.
Yeah, and I'm interested to know just exactly. I mean, I'm sorry this has been such a side tangent because we were going to talk about the Flea, but I thought we'd talk about this first, but it's taken too long.
It's a good
as
topic.
usual. But I want to know how much of it is like actually bugged and how much of it is how the audio functions, right? Because I documented, I mean, I have done a little bit of testing inside. Around dorms is usually where I run around a bit. And I have documented door closed, you don't hear anything, door open, you hear a lot, right? It's like there is a big occlusion change when you do that, but you still hear something. It's just very muffled. So I don't know. There's just like certain parts that aren't working about it. It's certainly interesting. And I need to go and check a few of these places, just like see. Just need to run around and just like figure it out and see what sounds like. But like you can't always replicate them either. Is the issue. It's hard to replicate some of these problems. So I don't know. Well, we'll see. So the other thing then that we did want to talk about. So this is the second Nikita poll that he put up today, which is no Flea is better. Yes, no, not sure. Do you know what the main piece of feedback has been for most of this? Is use the surveys in game. Please use the surveys in game, please. But I don't mind them doing both. He could put up a poll here and then put one in the game. They could put both. I would just do both. It'd actually be kind of interesting to see if there's a disparity between the in-game survey and the Twitter survey. Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, you could see the number of people who voted, so you can take that information as you will. I mean, some people vote twice, obviously, but it's the Twitter community for me tends to be more like hardcore people because my Twitter community is quite small. Whereas on YouTube community, I tend to have a bigger pool of people, more people who are more loosely connected with me.
Here's the ultimate conspiracy theory. Maybe Nikita proactively doesn't want to use the surveys because then you get like everybody, which includes like casuals and like cheaters and the hardcore players. He just wants the core, the most course of course players. So he explicitly
the true believers.
Exactly. Yes. Someone brings a good point. Yeah, you can vote on Twitter without even owning the game. Yeah, you could be like, I'm not even haven't played Tarkov for 5 years. I just want to see everyone burn and suffer. Yes, remove the flea.
in before the cheaters managed to figure out a way to vote multiple times in the poll, in the in-game one.
Yeah. Oh my god!
Oh no, we want to keep the flea. Yeah, we want to keep the flea. You have
2
like
billion
100 votes from
yes, 100,000 no.
Yeah, you 1 times 10 to the 26. Yes. Yeah. Anyway, so it's much closer than I thought it would be. There's a lot of not sures, which could contain people from either side, I suppose. I put up a big long post about it. I'm being fairly vocal at the moment on Twitter about these things because I think it's important, and I think I'm more like confident now that we've kind of gone through all this stuff and we've talked about things so many times, and I've gone through so many iterations of what I want to find. I feel like I'm more confident in my beliefs about the way the game should be, if in my opinion, right? And it's just my opinion. He does do what he wants, but in my opinion, we're going in a good direction, and so long as we can tweak it from there, then I think it's interesting. Because, like, for example, the very first post up here, right, from, if you just go back, from Tiggs, no flea would be more fun if it was ways to get keys. Agree. Traders selling more gears or items, more barters, etc. I disagree with the selling gear and more gear and items, but I agree with more barters.
Yeah.
So like it depends. But yeah, I basically said there was what did I say on mine? I said like a couple of bits and pieces. I said like, again, keys, barters, quest rewards, and trader stock would need an overhaul to allow quest progression outside of pure RNG key finding, prevent the gear disparity between max traders and lower level players getting too wide, which I actually think is a thing that not addressed, right? Because it's like, oh well, if you ban the flea, then what about all the people with like Peacekeeper and Proper level 4, the grinders, that I've got to play, with my class 4 armor against people who destroy me? And I think it's valid. I actually think it's completely valid. It makes it like boring for the top end players too, right? It's like, but why was the flea interesting? Well, it was interesting because you had to scavenge for the ammo. You find a pack of 5.6A1 and you're like, oh, this is stuff, like I can use that. So that's why I feel that with no flea, then barters are valuable. They're more valuable. So you can then change most of the stuff on class 4 traders to be a barter, right? If your M856A1 was a barter for a whatever, right? It doesn't even matter what it is. Just a thing. It means you can't just like infinitely do that. You have to like go purposefully farm certain items for your whatever. I just feel that, like, yeah, you can have progression, and the progression can be some benefits, but it shouldn't just be like, here's free access to just kill everybody who's wearing class 4. Like that's the current progression with no flea. It's like you get to level 37 and do enough of Peacekeeper's quests. Now everybody wearing class 4 is just like as if they're not wearing anything. Not quite true, but it's there or thereabouts. So maybe you need to do a bit of work. Like, yeah, other people have to find M856A1. Okay, you have a barter now, but you can't just endlessly farm money for it and buy those things. I mean, ideally, then those things would like rotate and whatever, but we're getting too far down the line. I almost feel like if you scaled the level 3 traders up to level 4, or just make a lot of the level 4 stuff like barterable instead. Like the level 3 traders, I think are fine. Honestly, I mean they're rendered moot by the flea, honestly. I did my level 3 traders video the other day, and like most traders, I'm just like, yeah, it's cheaper on the flea, it's cheaper on the flea, it's cheaper on the flea. Why would you buy 7.62 T45 because you can buy PS? Why would you buy M855 if you can buy 5.6A1? Why would you buy this blah 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 for 9x21 when you can buy BT off the flea market? This gun's too expensive, this gun's too expensive, this gun's too expensive. Every gun's cheaper on the flea market. It's just like, after doing level 1 and 2 traders, like with no flea, and being like, oh, look at all these interesting choices, and then the level 3 guide, I waited to do it, right? I actually purposefully didn't put out an extra video because I wanted to see what happened to the flea. I didn't want to put out a guide and be like, oh, these are all the things you can do, and then 2 days later everything opens up again. And so I waited until then, and I was like, man, this guide is boring to make. I'm basically just like, buy 7.62 PP off the flea market, buy 5.6A1 off the flea market, SS190 or like 9x21 BT or LPS or whatever, and then just pair it with a gun. That's it. That's the guide. Buy the best ammo from the flea and pair it with a gun. It's literally that's the whole game. And I don't know, I just like, I think after not having it like that, I was just like, man, it's like it's pointless. Being able to buy level 4 ammo on the Flea is like fine in some ways, but it like ruins the game in others. But then also people having access to it on the traders just easily for cash is also going to ruin the game when the Flea's been taken away because the traders are now too
Right.
powerful. It's like both these things have to be done in tandem. Um, but then
It,
also, obviously, the standard accounts need a buff. That goes without saying, in my opinion.
yeah. Yeah. Wow, so much there.
Yes.
The first thing I wanted to say, I have decided that I'm not using the Flea to swipe. So haven't I literally have my Flea filter set to traders only. So I don't even tempt myself. And gosh dang it. It hasn't been so tempting because I just need DVD drives. Like I have so much trader unlocked that I could like breeze through a lot of the gunsmiths, but because I'm not doing no flea, I just need more DVD drives so I can do the trader to get the 4 to shift grip for Gunsmith 6 so I can do the tasks and then get more tests. Anyways, and also my duo decided he's like, okay, yeah, I'll join you. We'll do this no flea adventure, which has been awesome because like, that was one thing I was thinking about. It's like, oh man, he's basically gonna buy the stuff for me. Like, so what are some of the things that has like come up? Because that's really the reason why I wanted to do no flea. Like, I was having so much fun playing no flea the swipe when it was banned for everyone, and then B, I felt like all the work I've done up to this point would have been for naught had I have joined in the celebration of the flea opening. Because it's like, why was I even like doing half the stuff I was doing if in a couple of days the flea was going to open up? Like, I should have been doing stuff in preparation for that the whole time. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm.
I shouldn't have been using any of this stuff that I found. I should have been hoarding it so I could sell it to Flea, and then you just play this mini game where like you have like 8 scav junk boxes and you're just hoarding everything. I mean, I'm a hoarder innately, but like I just didn't want to throw all that away. So that's why I've decided to do it. And so my friends joined me. And yeah, I will say absolutely, like having a duo, we've like basically any quest that requires a key, it's like our odds have been doubled of having one of us having that key. So that's made it so much more easier because like
Mm.
we've both filled in each other's gaps a lot of times. So like keys gotta like there's got to be a little bit more. Um, they gotta do something with that because it's just like, and I'm okay with doing like the quest reward route. Like for example, he needs RBST. I don't need that right now, but like he's kind of on that quest, so we're doing the peacekeeper or whoever gives you the quest reward for RBST. We're doing that quest line. I think it's Shoreline
The
Peacekeeper
RBST,
related.
yeah, it's Sparta. It's the
Spartor?
yeah,
Yeah.
Sparta 7, I think, but you need to do Sparta 4 for it. There's a problem. It's a
Yeah.
bottleneck most people had.
Yeah. So, oh, is that and you need another quest key for that one?
Well,
Because like the
that's the
ones
one that everyone got stuck on. West 219, West 220 generators. That's the one most people got stuck on.
I see. Yeah. Yeah, and it's like because the solution is we need to hit filing cabinets, but it's some maps it doesn't feel like there's enough filing cabinets. Like Shoreline, for example, you got the ones at admin, you got the ones at the bus stop, which is like 1.5, I think, and then you got the one at Pier, and I can't really think of any other filing cabinets, right? So like
Mm.
it's kind of few far in between. I mean, there's jackets, yes, but it's just like it's kind of hard to farm the thing. And like, yeah, the wiki, like we need 216 West for vitamins, I think, part one or whatever, or Lindley's part one, or whatever, some quests. Um, and like the wiki says there's a key spawn on the admin table, which is like kind of news to me. Um, but yeah, we're gonna check that. We'll see if we get it there. Anyways, um, so yeah, why I did this is like I want to see at the start of a wipe how this feels doing like no flea because I've done it before at the end of a wipe, and it's like, oh, it's like, yeah, it's more challenging, but your friends are have the flea and everyone has the flea, they're high level, everybody, it's like not the same. So one of the things that like I'm just gonna go into so many tangents, it feels like one of the things that I've felt that's been very enjoyable is learning the barters because previously I like didn't have to learn them. I could just find the thing I wanted, like an RPK, and then link search it or like filter by item, and it's like, what's the lowest offering this much? Okay, I see a barter. do the math or have a third party that does the math for me. It's like which is cheaper between two. Whereas now it's actually interesting because I do feel like there's been um like a oversight from the players in terms of BSG setting up these barters. For example, what was one of the items? Okay, yeah, one of the things I noticed is like matches and classic matches and those cricket lighters. When you think about it, those are like probably one of the more easiest things to get because you just hit filing cabinets and like some maps are just like a ton like customs has tons of filing cabinets. And there's a fair amount of items that are like associated with that, like
Hmm.
headsets and fuel and such. So like I could see a scenario where it's like these are like easy to obtain items. You don't have to go to like a particular hotspot. Like you don't need like a military gyrometer thermal heating device, you know what I mean, for a
Yeah.
bar. So and same's true for like there's a fair amount of bars associated with like nuts and bolts and then the gunpowders because you can craft each type of the gunpowders, right? And like you could just straight up make blue gunpowder as long as you have the yellow auxiliary part and you have the trader HP ammo that you need. Because that's the two. I think it's like 545 by 39 HP, which I'm pretty sure is like Jaeger 1. Anyways, maybe it's Jaeger 2, but whatever. It's like pretty easy to get. And so I can see the logic of like, oh my god, I loot items. I now know that these items are associated with trades for items that I can't get easily, like an RPK, for example. And then I can craft some of the components to then get to like fill in the gaps of the barter to then get the thing I'm after, you know?
Hmm. Yeah.
I like how it's all kind of coming together, and I feel like I've undervalued or oversighted some of the like it feels like there was um thought put into the barters and the hideout that previously was basically, it I don't know. Like you know what I'm saying? It's like I feel like because of the flea market, maybe some of the barters have been adjusted for that, but it seems like some of the barters, especially that have been in the game for a long time, actually were more thought out for a flea market less economy because, you
Yeah.
know, these things are actually easy to find.
It's a mixture, and this is the thing. It's some of the stuff has been there for a long time, and some things have been added later. Talking about standard accounts, right? Like one of the other big comments about standard accounts is the beta container,
Yeah.
which, I mean, let me just look it up real quick. But it is multiple millions.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you can go and complete Punisher Part 6 and go and get it. But so right now, the beta container is 4.7 million roughly
Mm-hmm.
to get access to because it requires 3 vertexes. This is down from what it was when I was looking a couple of days ago. Vertex was a 2 mil, right? So that was 6 mil at least just on the vertexes. It was pretty punchy. So that would probably make it about 7 mil in total a couple of days ago. Which, I mean, 7 mil is a lot. Like it's not insane amounts of money. Like you can make 7 mil, but it's certainly especially early wipe. It's certainly enough that you're forgoing a bunch of other stuff, right? To get that. So it's yeah, but that was designed again in a situation where I don't know. I guess like the flea is open and it's been open for a longer period of time, or well, I mean, I guess it is still quite expensive usually, especially early. I don't know. It's just yeah, it's just tricky. It's just tricky.
There,
Like if they really want to go down this route, they need to think about it from the start and be like, okay, what do we want with these barters? Where do we want people to access these items? How do we want that to influence the traders? It's tricky. It's complicated.
yeah. I mean, it really requires a lot of thought because I do some of them. It was like, man, you need like, a lot of these particular sets of items. Like maybe it's like 6 bolts and I don't know, 7 crickets, for example. And it's like, and you got to be careful because on one hand, if too many barters require a lot of the same items, um, then it makes it harder to save up for that big item that requires a lot of those small items. Like, yes, those small items
Hmm.
are easy to get, but because they're associated with so many items, it's like, oh, I want headsets, I want this for the barter, etc. And then conversely, if you do the opposite end, like for example, chlorines are used for the key tool. You need like 10 of them, and it's like chlorines are like kind of like gold bars. Like they're kind of hard to find, you know.
Yeah.
And this is the even more convoluted thing is like you don't know that these things are useful till you know, which I would love for like some type of this is a big ass and like just on my wish list, but it probably never happened. But I would love for some way to like look at the item in raid and like see link search shit and like see what it's like associated with, or like some type of. But anyways, that's just like a
Yeah.
quality of life thing. But to my point, I do like how I've felt the usefulness of the hideout crafting things to supplement the gaps in certain stuff, and like I feel like they could really lean into that if they wanted to. But I just think it's kind of interesting, and if they ever did do something, I feel like for me, one of the things you were talking about how the flea market base versus level 3 traders basically nullifies level 3 traders. And for me, what I felt in my experience, not using Flea at all, the jump from like one traders to two traders isn't that big. Like it's definitely something, but like from going two to three, it's felt pretty meaningful because now it's
Hmm.
like I have more suppressing options, and I got a lot more parts, but there's still some gaps and oddities. Like for example, the Scar Voltor new parts that you put
Yeah.
attach. I'm like, oh, finally, I can just buy these from traders. Like I was hoarding a few, but I didn't have like the extension, or I had, just
Right.
some weird stuff. And I got all excited, but you can't put the Voltor rails to attach foregrips until Mechanic 4, even though you get the parts from Peacekeeper
Ah.
3. So I was like, oh, that's kind of weird. So there's probably like little things like that are scattered around. One of the things too is like sometimes it's like you unlock trader and you look at all the parts, and it's like you get a lot of parts, but a lot of these parts come on the gun that you can also buy, so it's like they're taking up dead space, but not really, because if you've ever did want to like mod a gun and you sold a part you mistakenly didn't sell, if it's like a vital part, then like you're screwed. So it's like it's good that they're on the traders. So I don't know, it's kind of hard to like balance all that out. And then of course the whole like balancing of individual parts. Like some parts are just like there's so many foregrips that are just like, and handguards are just like, yeah, all these are crap because this one's cheaper and better. It's just there's a little bit of weird stuff like that. But anyways, the one final tangent, it's like, yeah, definitely something with like the stash. And this is what I was gonna say actually. I would love this idea. You could do it as like a hideout craft or like a station, but like make a key like a locksmith or whatever, and you got like a key
Yeah.
rack, and you can just hang your keys, and you got like three different tabs or however many maps, and I could just like hang the keys there because god, anytime I want to just like go to a different map, I have like 42 keys in my stash, and I have to find each one and drag them in and out of my docs case. Like usually the solution is when I'm playing flea market, it's just like buy multiple dock cases and label them, which is like fine, I guess. But like because I'm playing flea
Mm.
market lists, it's like I really this lion is really valuable. I need it. I know I need it for other stuff. So if I had like a hideout component that allowed me to like sort and organize my keys and whatnot, that would be really valuable. And it's another thing about the hideout. As a final thing, I do feel like founding raid hideout is just kind of annoying in general. And like if you had no flea, like I think surprisingly I don't have a problem with people putting hoses in their butts. You know what I mean? For to make their hideout station.
Speak for yourself, Church, but that sounds kind of weird to me.
You know what I mean? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Yeah, you don't mind people like taking stuff out, you know, I think that's the thing. If you had no Flea at all ever,
Hmm.
then you could bring back finding like non-finding raid stuff going into the hideout, right? Because then it would only affect the container, so you could slowly get progression for your hideout
Yeah,
through some deaths, you know.
yeah,
Then it would feel okay. It's because right now you'd be able to buy your way through, and
yeah.
that would, I think, be worse. I like the change kind of in the way that it lengthens it out, makes it feel more meaningful. Yeah. Oh man, so much to this. There's so much to this. There's
If
a
they wanted to
whole lot
go
of
this route,
conversation.
I feel like
Yeah.
they could totally do it. They just got to do some tweaks, and it's gonna be, painful and learning. But like, for me, it's been my friend has a suppressor rig where it's got basically any suppressor he finds, he keeps it because he's like excited to, see if he can use it in a build. It's like it's made all the systems
Yeah.
more interesting. It's giving you more puzzles to solve, and I just enjoy it. I like using the Allen Tech muzzle brake that I found. It's
Mm.
like even though it's not that great, it's
R.I.P. We
yeah.
will remember you.
Which, by the way, I did record a video. I need to publish it, but it's just like 45 minutes of me rambling about muzzle devices because, like, again, it's the common thing. It's like there's not enough delineation between each muzzle device, and there's like 3 pages from the traders alone of muzzle devices for like 545, and it's like here's one that's like the exact same but it's cheaper. Here's another one that has like 4 accuracy but less recoil, but like you don't care about the accuracy stat because it just doesn't do enough, and there is no possible scenario where it'll ever do enough until it's like plus 10% accuracy, and the gun's at a really low accuracy rating because you like I just saw the other day the SV98 muzzle device has like plus 10 accuracy, but like it doesn't matter because the gun's already, you know, 1 MOA or under 1 MOA. So like it's never gonna actually matter. Like, yeah, anyways. I'll stop yapping. Stuff like this just like it's like I could see all the wires trying to
Mm.
connect, but like they're not. And it's like, can we just connect them? Someone just connect them, please.
Yeah. The main reason why I feel like it's more interesting is simply the just looking at the way that I play and the way that the guide has gone. You know, that the level 3 traders guide solidified in my mind as like this is boring as hell. And I now use, and this is partly a me problem, right? Partly, but I'm also just trying to do the most efficient thing. And I like it when it's like we've talked about this so many times, right? If you're playing a roguelite and it's like, oh, you beat the boss, here's the 3 options, you know, stub your toe, get hit with a brick, or plus 50 damage for the next 5 rounds. You're like, it's not meaningful choice, right? It's like,
Yeah.
And that's the way that I feel about the Flea. It's just like, here's all the wonderful options that you have available to yourself, but I'm going to buy myself a TC 2002 helmet. I'm going to buy myself better headsets. I'm going to buy myself 762 PP. I'm going to buy myself M856A1 because like, why the hell would I not? Like, yeah, some stuff's fun. You can do some stuff for a joke sometimes, but like losing the video game isn't fun. Tarkov isn't like competitive in like in a sort of tournament type sense, but it's competitive in a like
survivalist type sense.
In a survivalist type sense, exactly. And so it's like if you don't give yourself the best chance of survival, then you're more likely to die. And dying in the game is not interesting. It's not fun. It's better to win the game, right? And so you're incentivized to try to get the best stuff. Whereas before this, I was like, oh, which ammos do I have? Oh, I've got a little bit of BP for like 9x39. Like, oh, I could use that in the VSK. That's got an integrated suppressor on it. So that's actually pretty sick, But and it's the thing because we've talked a billion times as well about the flea market is kind of the problem, but the traders are also kind of the problem too at the same time, which is why I'm trying to bring this up now because people have ragged on about the flea for years, right? The fleas have been unpopular with a section of the community for a long time. And we're seeing some of the benefits of that now. But max traders is the same thing. Why would I go and like look at which one I'm going to use? And I got some BP in raid. Like, well, now I can buy M85A1 or I can buy 762 PP myself from the trader every reset without really any limit, or M80. It's like I'm not now having to think about all the things I was thinking about before. Now I just buy the easy stuff. And like now it's like, oh, if I find a pack of 5.5A1, yeah, that's kind of cool. If I find a pack of 762 BP, yeah, that's kind of cool. But I'm running a sort of a certain minimum staple that I now don't have to think as much. I'm buying a Corund every reset off prep or
right.
It's just like it's just not as interesting.
The
loading
game.
Yeah, I buy a Contact 5 off the Flea. I buy a TC 2002 off the Flea. I buy a
Right.
Corundov Prapor. I've got 3 more because I bought the other ones set. I buy myself a G36C from Peacekeeper. I put on Delta Point, which I've already got in my stock. I buy a WMX 200 because it gives me the point fire bonus. I can buy 7 of them per reset from Peacekeeper. I didn't have to save any of them up. I then load that with 56A1, and you can just run that every single game and it'd be fine. Like, it's boring, it's effective, it's boring, but it works. And like, so I mix it around a bit with 76, but you can still mix it around a little bit. It's just I feel like the choices they're so obvious that it's not interesting.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's the point. It's not that I'm complaining about using good stuff. It's just that I don't have to think anymore. It's not. I'm not like I only have 85 rounds of 5.6A1 left. Like, after that's gone, I'm gonna have to go back to M855, which is why I almost feel like the level 3 traders should be like the top end of the easy access, and everything else should be like I've literally like. I feel like I'm talking to a billion people at the same time because I'm like talking to people on Twitter because some of my posts are, people are picking up and talking about it, and people are like, I'll be so. What was the one I literally just replied to somebody where they were like, I like the idea of a flatter progression, but it needs to be balanced with the buff to finding raid ammo. Bearing in mind it's already been buffed quite a lot. Finding a single box of 5.6A1 every raid or so would kind of suck and kill power progression. You should reliably be able to pull out more than you use. And I'm like, dude, what, of every caliber? Like, you're expected to get like 5.6A1 like every raid. You're supposed to get some PP every raid. Like, but then there's no like, then it's everywhere. Then you don't even have to. There's no scarcity then at all. That's like weird. That'd be like putting a slick in every room. Like, what? That's just strange. There's a limit. I don't know. It's just there's so many people who want so many different things. I had another conversation on Twitter. There's I can bring up Hayes again, who's kind of on the like, who knew that everyone would love having no flea kind of thing. And I'm like, I don't think it's necessarily that forward. And like, people who think that having the flea market is better for the game are also they're not wrong. It's just there's two types. There's really two broad types of players in this game, and Tarkov has an impossible compromise to make, trying to make both of these sides happy. And the further you get it towards one side, the other side's actually even more unhappy than they were before, and vice versa. So it's like impossible. And the only way to really fix it is to have separate accounts with a hardcore account and a normal account. The normal account has restrictions or some restrictions the way it is now, or the way before this change maybe, or back to 12.11 or whatever with the glory days. God knows. Fix the PKO6. And then the other people are playing on the hardcore version with no traders, no flea, no secure container. They're fighting against other people's scrappy fights. Someone's got a PT3, but they've got an alien tech on the front. They've got some guy's using an ACOG and he's got the little top sight thing, but the rest of his gun's made of wood. It's just some people want to play that game and some people want to play the COD with extra steps game. That's just the way it is. I don't know. It's just what you do. It's impossible to make everyone happy in this point.
Well, the thing that strikes me interesting is if we go back to Nikita's poll, 42 said yes, 39 said no, 18% said not sure, which is like, to me, says we're not that polarized. Like, if it was like 2% said not sure, then for me, it's like, okay, there's a clear gap. But like, it seems to me there's a decent amount that's like genuinely, presumably unsure. And I feel like because you have this dichotomy where on one hand, what everything you said is like absolutely true and valid. The game is less interesting when you have at flea market, but however, the benefit of the flea market is the game is like more convenient, And how can we take those two things that we both want? Because I too don't want to like do these super inconvenient things all the time. I value my time. So can we take these two things that we like and like marry them together in some type of middle ground? What can we keep the interesting choices that no flea market brings, and also integrate some more convenient options that the flea market brought? Can we make barter trades more accessible? Can we make spawns more reliable? There's got to be, I know it's more tech debt, but like the game might as well be called Tarkov Escape from Tech Debt, because they've expanded every map at least twice thus far. And I'm hopeful that there's going to be a third expansion on Woods, because I'd love that new area, which we're going to talk about in a second. But that's the whole point of this for me, is like, can we increase fun, but can we also not make it miserable by like bringing these two things together? And I think it's possible, but like it's going to require someone to do a lot of thinking and a lot of trial and error probably, and growing pains. But I think the end result is like a much more enjoyable game, in my opinion. but it's not gonna be easy because
Yeah.
there's a lot of loot in Tarkov, like a lot of loot. So like doing some of these things, like for example, oh my god, metal cutting scissors, Giga. I just got them like the other day, and I needed them to make boxes, like mag cases and grenade cases, to store all of my loot. And it's been so long, and I haven't seen them. I'm pretty sure I've found them early on, but I sold them because I didn't need them at the time. But then now that I needed them, it's like, oh my god! I please, dear God, give me some metal cutting scissors. And I've been looting toolboxes nonstop, and it's just not been lucky. Finally got them the other day. I think my teammate found
Mm.
them actually and gave them to me. I'm like, thank you. It's
I think I've
hilarious.
seen them more loose in general rather than in boxes. But yeah,
Mm,
yeah. Sometimes you just get bottlenecked on something. What was I looking for? I can't remember. Bee fuel, I think, was one of them for heating too. But
mm.
so apparently, I say apparently, no, this is true. This is not apparently. Applezor, lead community manager, he's written back to Glorious on Nikita's No Flea is Better, and he said, "We will put a similar survey in the game in the upcoming days."
Good.
So BSG are going to put it in the game finally. I think like now, once they've seen this and gone like, oh yeah, people are actually asking for this. Like, hopefully they'll use it a bit more now at this point. But yeah, man, I don't know. It's tough, right? Like the not sure thing that you were saying before. Like not sure is I don't know where they fall on the line. You know, I think
Hmm.
people are like, no, some people probably don't really want to say no because they're like, well, I kind of enjoyed it, but I don't want it gone forever. And
Hmm.
then some people probably a bit scared to say yes because they're like, I like it gone, but we need some other changes.
Yeah.
So it's like not nuanced enough. I think that's probably why you've got such a high percentage, like 1 in 5 people saying I'm not sure, because it's like if you just go, if Nikita just goes, okay, everyone doesn't like the flea, boom, and then it's gone. People will be like, well, now it's like, no, that's not no. It's like the features need to intertwine. You can't just rip it out. You need to think about the implications on all the other things. So it's tough. It's tough, but I don't know. We'll see. Maybe they'll put something with a bit more granularity into the game, and then they could actually feed through the data of just like, yes, I would like no flea. I want it to be gone completely. Yes, I like it, but the keys. Yes, I like it, but blah 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 blah.
And
So
then
hopefully they could do that.
just remind, this is the last thing that I wanted to say is what's the difference between a barter and a craft? Because right now it's literally you get the found and raid check mark and not, and it's weird to me that you can do barters. I mean, this is all based off the foundation that because they made the hideout stations building require found and raid, this
Mm-hmm.
this is a problem now or like a thing. But like some it's like you can make it. It's like I can barter for mechanic for a tool set or I can craft a tool set. Crafting tool set only costs me 7 minutes in the workbench, some fuel, and a Cordura, versus bartering it doesn't give me the check mark and costs less of those things. But like I'm basically always want the check mark 90% of the time, except if I'm doing the factory quests. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
just like it's weird now because you can do like LCDs, barters. There's a few different items where you can give stuff and they'll give you a barter item, but like it's not found in raid, so like half the time it's useless to me. Whereas if I craft it in the hideout, it has a lot more value because I can feed it into other stuff, like whether it's a quest or it's a. So I don't know. There's something weird there. It's like for me, fundamentally, they need to decide what's the value if they want to do. I mean, quite honestly, yeah. If they want to keep found and raid requirements for building hideout stations, they need to decide what's the purpose of a barter versus a craft. Because right now, it's like it's a little confusing because you can craft ammo and some weapons. Pretty limited on the weapons, but you can craft ammo in a hideout, and it's found raid. That's fine, whatever. And then you can barter stuff, but it's like guns and like barter items and like cases and like all that stuff's fine and dandy. But the barter items, it's like weird because it doesn't have a comfortable spot it sits in for me.
Yeah, I mean, this comes back again with like I do feel that although we've talked about these things a billion times, I feel like we're slowly coalescing on something where this
I think
stuff is
so.
coming together. The only problem with this part of it is that I don't think we're ever going to get over this hurdle, which is that finding raid, non-finding raid. It's like it's too much. It's too binary. It's too blunt. We need something. And the way and the flowchart is like even worse now than it was. Like it's just getting worse and worse and worse. It's the classic Veritas flowchart. What's finding raid? What's not finding raid? And it's just like it's horrendous, right? Like there needs to be more flags. With one more flag, you can fix trader flipping. With another flag, you can fix this, you can fix that. Like right now, BSG don't have enough levers to pull to make it intuitive and sensible. They just like they do stuff, and it's like because everything's intertwined.
Right.
It's like okay, well you make the hideout finding like not like it has to be finding raid to upgrade. Okay, well now barters don't work, deaths don't work with the secure container. Crafts do, quest rewards do. It's like this like matrix of stuff. And honestly, I actually don't mind navigating systems like that. That's kind of like my forte. I'm good at that kind of thing. But it's not. It's I don't think it's good necessarily, right? Like
it
kind of works for me as a player. It's not intuitive. Yeah,
it's like cumbersome. Like it's always the cost of adding depth as you make it more complicated, which can be good, can be bad depending on the scenario. And yeah, I don't know. I dare say, if they did a route to flea market, you might be able to just like nuke FIR entirely. Like I don't like. Is it a problem that I mean the worst case is like hatchlings run to shoreline to get lettuces for their quests, but like I don't know if that's like if it means everything is so much more simplified, it's like is that a cost I'm willing to pay? Maybe. I don't know.
See, that's the thing. Like I would be happy, and I think I don't know whether this would fix it for some people, but I feel like people would be happier with that system of like you are allowed to use it for the hideout if you found it in raid, irrespective of whether you died. Right? There's no system for that right now. There's no way to parameterize that within the current find and raid system. It just doesn't work. There's no way to do that without another flag or something. But that feels fairer to me because I'm all about slowing down progress, but giving people incremental progression. It's not like you can grab every single item for Workbench 3 and shove it in your butt and die and then suddenly upgrade it, right? It's like these things, they cost a lot of resources. Like half these things take like 8 PSUs and like 15 CPU fans or like, a bunch like ratchet wrench and a load of E-motors and loads of stuff you need, right? If you need tool sets for the hideout, like you could only realistically fit one of them in unless you've got Kappa or, if you've got the Epsilon container and then everything else is coming out.
Yeah.
So, allowing people to like hold a VPX so they can upgrade or whatever. That's probably the one I'm on next. Bitcoin farm. Need to find a in VPX. Because of the convolution of the systems, it's probably easier for me to kill Sturman and get it from the quest than it is to find it in raid. But that's by the by, right? Like allow people to slowly save up their bolts with this is eligible for the hideout, but it's not allowed on. It's not finding raid necessarily. You can't resell it. It's just like there's no way that you can. There's no way you can do that right now. But like, yeah, I don't mind. Giving people incremental progress is great. It's why the barters work so well. Because you could die with something in your pouch and you're like, right, well, I got one more med so I can get Dorm's 206 key so I can then finally do that quest, right? It's like the human brain likes incremental progression. You need 7 of this item. I get 1, 2. Oh, I found 2 on raid. Get 4. This is huge. 5, 6, 7. Okay, I did the thing. Hitting jackets, 0, 0, 0, 0. Bing, I've got it, right? Like it's just it's kind of the same outcome.
Yeah,
but the variance and the feeling the progression, it's really important for like the dopamine pathway in the brain, and like people wanting to play the game and feeling engaged and feel like you're accomplishing something. That's what we're all here for.
Exactly.
Trying to escape the brutality and the misery of the real world. Let's feel something, Nikita.
Preach. Yeah, no, I mean, you hit the nail on the hammer. And it's like, yeah, I think a good example in quotation marks is that comes to mind immediately is the Workbench 3, because you need 2 thermites, right? but there's a craft at level 2 workbench for thermite. However, it does involve a key for some reason, like 303 dorms, which if they just remove that and, there was no flea market, it's like, oh, I didn't, because right now, let's say you need what's something that's like gold? I don't know. A lead X. Okay, perfect example. You need a lead X for the med station found in raid. It's like binary. Did you hit the RNG spawn or not? There is no incremental progression. Whereas, like, if you had both, it's like, oh, I found the item to make the craft. I found 1/10 of the recipe to make the Linux craft. It's like, it wasn't all for naught, that raid. I didn't completely waste 45 minutes of my life playing a video game trying to extract joy from it. Whereas right now it's like binary. Did you get the thing? Did you survive? And it's very polarizing. Of course you have those moments in Tarkov that do make the game where it's like you did mission impossible. It's like against all odds you overcame, and that feels good. But the other 90% times that you didn't overcome the odds, that feels horrible, and you have to tell your duo, like, you need to take a break today because your mental health is declining rapidly. Of course, I just made it off the fly. It wasn't anecdotal or anything.
Of course, a hypothetical, situation.
Oh my god.
So that's the Flea. We'll have to see what happens. I don't know. I mean, the fact that Nikita's putting up polls about it, he's obviously seriously thinking about it. The good feedback they've had on it, again, they're seriously thinking about it. As many people have said, it's a shame we're talking about it now, when 1.0 is being teased. But I mean, maybe now is the time, right? We've kind of got to the place where things are, we're starting to look at balance. This is honestly, this was part of the argument for a long time, right? Like, why balance? Why should we spend all this time balancing stuff right now when they've got all these other systems to add? Maybe that's going to change the game completely. It's like, okay, well, this is going to be the game. We're actually quite close now. Like, obviously, they know what's happening with storyline quests and stuff, but like, the shape of the game is broadly set 90% of the way at this point, given that the release is probably within 11 months, somewhere in that time frame, you would think. In its most likely state. So now's the time. So I think actually maybe it's the perfect time, But yeah, I mean, it feels, given how many wipes we've had and the fact that usually wipe every 6 months, maybe it doesn't give enough iterations to get the feedback through. But they're receptive. They're thinking about stuff. They're making changes. Never thought they'd get rid of the fleet at the start. Like, feels good. There needs to be some changes made. He's posting polls. They're taking feedback. I mean, I don't know. I think it's okay. I think it's okay.
I feel optimistic that we'll get some change that will, inch us closer to what you and I enjoy about the potential of some more restrictions to elevate the interesting choices that are made with those restrictions. So I feel optimistic about it. So we'll see. We may not get a full-fledged. It's probably not going to be perfect, but I think we'll get a form of improvement, I feel, anyways.
Yeah. I mean, the lowest hanging and like easiest way to do it, like, obviously we'd want them to do all singing, all dancing system with millions of flags and whatever.
Right.
They're not going to do that, right? But like the lowest hanging fruit, the way that I can see it is, the Fighting Raid hideout. I think we're just going to have to suck it up. I think they want it that way. I was kind of impartial. I mean, I do think it'll stretch. It does extend the wipe a lot, but it is quite rough for standards, and it's also pretty rough for new players. But that's kind of, I don't know really, because you can't fix that system properly with the current iteration of stuff. I do really think they should put in a flag from like stuff bought off the traders that disappears when you go into raid, just to stop just 99% of just the general flea flipping situation. That would actually then like fix some of the whole like 56A1 thing as well, because it would be nowhere near as accessible as it is now. Like, it was never really a problem before. It was a bit, but not really a problem. Like the FMJSX and stuff was on because you had to find it in raid to actually sell it, right? And it was like 3,000 around, because there's just hardly any in raid. There's a bit more in raid now, so I don't know. Still a bit funny about it. I'm not sure, but yeah. So like something to do with the traders, and then yeah, just like deal with some of these barters, the keys situation, whatever. And I
Yeah,
feel like we'd fix most of the problems. Like there's still going
just
to be there's always going to be something that we want them to do to make the game more engaging and whatnot. But yeah, fix the keys thing, bit of progress, barters, make that a bit better. Stop flipping. I think that would fix most of the problems. I think.
do like a first wave pass, add some extra barters, add some extra crafts. We
Yeah,
play a wipe. You're gonna get feedback immediately, like, "Hey, this thing sucks. Can you do something here?" And then you make adjustments
yeah,
because you're not gonna get it all on the first go. And maybe
exactly.
try and I don't know. That would be the lowest
Mm.
hanging fruit, something like that.
I think they should honestly be quite happy with how well it went, just pulling it.
I
Honestly,
agree. I was quite. I
I'm
mean,
actually quite
still quite
surprised
shocked
as to
that
how well it played out.
yeah, like especially the number of people that showed up and were like, "Hey, I actually kind of like this. I didn't think I would, but
Yeah,
I kind of like this."
given they just like severed a feature, did nothing else.
Hmm.
Like, and there was, but that's the thing, right? There's enough in the game to like navigate the problem. Like I said last time, I was looking through all the quest rewards, going like, where can I get this? Where can I get that? And there's so many interlapping. It's like a freaking spider web.
Yeah,
So you sever one bit, but there's so many alternative winding routes through. Like it's not intentional. The game's just a huge mess of crap, right? And you can navigate your way through it all by like kind of by chance almost. It's just they've random quests have random quest items on. Was it thought through? And maybe at one point, like the quest rewards haven't had a pass over for ages. I think some of them have been changed, but not much. And it just so happens that these things are important. I don't know. Maybe it's the battle. I doubt it, but it's sort of organic. But there's so much in the game that there's like usually ways to navigate it. And then there's these pinch points where we're like, okay, West 219, 220 is pretty rough. Maybe we fix that, right? But I'm astounded how well it played. Honestly, I actually am astounded how well it's gone.
yeah, yeah. I do think that's one thing that would be nice for them to do is add a few more cases, easier access, like ammo case, easier access. For example, if you could craft, thermite level one workbench, like just something to make it a bit more, you know,
Yeah.
less of a bottleneck that's so severe
Hmm.
for that strikes a happy balance. The one final thing I did want to say and praise is that because I'm only level 3 traders, I just got level 3 mechanic has like the wave, um,
Mm.
the QD wave muzzle and suppressor. But pre that, the only thing is I could suppress was like 366, 9 mil, like the Keter B, like it's like just like integrated suppress, like it's very few and far between, and that's what made like I guess like AKs, the 545 AKs, and like one of the,
Yeah.
but a lot of them are like barters too, so it kind of depends. But suppressors were kind of scarce, right? They're like a luxury.
Hmm.
But I did notice that I think it's like Peacekeeper 2 or so, you can do the bar or the buy for the multi-caliber suppressor. What's that one called?
Oh, the hybrid
Hybrid
46.
46, yes. And I had to think about it. I was like, okay, this actually makes a lot of sense because that suppressor isn't actually that good in terms of like its stats. It doesn't
Hmm.
reduce the recoil a lot. You don't get a bonus from the adapter like you would a regular muzzle device because most
It
suppressors
goes okay.
Ergo is okay, yeah, but you don't get the doubling of stats, right? If this thing
Yeah.
increases recoil reduction and the suppressor goes on top of, like that doesn't exist. But because it costs like 900 USD or whatever, I think it's like 600 something. Like it comes out to like 100k rubles, right? Uh, which is a lot for a suppressor. I mean, granted, I did have a look on the Flea; they're selling for about that much, but it kind of makes sense because it's used in a couple of gunsmith quests and whatnot. But anyways, to my point, I was like, oh, that's kind of smart that you would have a multi-caliber suppressor available on a trader at a relatively early level, and it's not that great stat-wise as compared to like a lot of the more like Thunder Beast, for example. Um, Whereas those are more specific and it costs a lot. So like there's this interesting dichotomy where it's like if I want more recoil reduction, I go for like a muzzle device that like has that, but now I'm
Mm.
not suppressed. Whereas if I want to make it suppressed, I gotta like lose ergo, lose the recoil benefit. But it's universal, so like it's valuable in that sense. Like it's interesting. Whereas if I had the flea market, I just skip all that and buy like the cheapest suppressor that can fit on my gun. You know what I mean? It's like I don't even
Mhm.
have to. So I think if it was like whether it was intentional or not, I think it's clever, and it's like, oh, okay, I can see how this like because I noticed a lot of suppressors are on like level 4 traders, which is like probably a good thing in this scenario. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, and now the Flea's Rape is just a moot point.
Oh yeah, and then as an added bonus, 4 6 of RAM. You know, those are like useless. RAM is like it sells for nothing, but you do the barter for it once you get there, and then it's like, oh, I have a reason to go and like loot PCs. You know, it's like
Mm.
not for like a quest or anything. It's like for the future raid, making that small progression. You know, as we said, tiny steps in
Yeah,
progression towards the big thing. So, anyways, that was the last thing.
I agree.
All
Shall
right,
we talk about the
moving
BTR?
on. Yeah, let's talk about the BTR.
Okay, so the BTR has been added to the game as a quest giver. So now you can do the mechanic quest chain, a helping hand, level 20. You obtain a Prapple's package on Woods, and then you survive and extract from the location and give it to mechanic. It basically says, figure you've seen the BTR. The driver used to offer his services, but lately started working with skier. He came to me and was restoring it. It was an interesting challenge, but that's beside the point. He hasn't been in touch for some time and he's asking for help. So you do that one, and then you get shipping delay, which is the first one that you do for the BTR. And what you need to do is you have to go. Like I actually quite like the BTR quests. I think they're quite cool. They get quite hard later on, apparently. And what you have to do is you have to go to the new area of woods, which is now apparently it's no longer accessible by crawling along the edge of the thingy. I think that you will get killed by the snipers now. You can't just like crawl along the track, but it's been added as a stop on the BTR. So you have to find the BTR, you have to get in, you have to tell him go to the old train yard or whatever. He takes you there. You have to find the package, and then apparently there you can get out of that so long as you go along the train, the one that you used to come in along, but crawling. If you go along the train, you stay in the middle because otherwise you get landmined in the middle of thin air, which is extremely annoying. That's apparently still a thing. But anyway, you stay right in the middle and you probably break your legs at the end, but you can jump out, splint yourself, whatever, and then leave the raid. Or you can wait for the BTR to come back. If you're early enough in the raid, that does work. But whenever I found the BTR is like 20 minutes, left or something. And by the time that you've like got in, gone to the place, you're like, oh, it's like 14 minutes. Like, is he going to come back? I don't know, actually. I don't think he will. So most of the time it's better to just try and leave. I got really, really lucky. Found the minefield map in the BTR depot area, which
Nice.
allows you to leave out the back of the
Yeah.
BTR depot, which is crazy. It was like in the Ogrizok room, on the but not in the room because the room itself needs a key now. But it was on the as you come in through his door, it's like the right hand room, and there's like it's a bathtub or a sink or something. It was like in there. It didn't even really look like anything. Like, oh, what's that?
Oh.
And it was in there. But other people have said, oh, spawn there for it. So I don't know how often it is, but you can get that, and I got that, and it means you just leave out the back of the area, which is pretty sick. So I did that one. I can't see where the other quests have gone for this thing, but anyway, like I don't know how there are quite a few, so it is quite funny. I think after that one, you then have to go back to the BTR guy, and you have to say to him like, "Oh, I'm looking for some more work," and then he says, "Oh, I need you to we need some more wheels for the BTR. It's called Hot Wheels. Pick it up from him." You can see the quest in the quest list with the BTR driver as the quest giver, but you can't see the previous ones. A bit like Lightkeeper because there's no trader. You can't click see previous quests, so you're just kind of stuck. Anyway, so you have to go and find the wheels, and it's like it's the biggest troll ever. Right? It's just like I don't understand. We talked a bit about quest design last week, but he's just like, I don't remember where I've seen them. Like, maybe try customs. And you can go to customs, and there's like literally piles of wheels, and you get the marker thing. You get the what would you call it? Like the
Like
dialogue box
quest
equivalent, like the
notification.
trigger, well, not even the question, but like the place, the marker, like
Oh,
comes up.
okay.
You place it, and you finish it, and when you finish placing the marker, it's just like you failed. I think it happens then. I didn't do this right, and you go back to him, and he's just like, you're an idiot. That's like as part of truck wheels. Like, what's wrong with you? And then he's like, oh, I remember where they are now. They're on reserve.
That's hilarious.
So he sends you to customs. Apparently, there's like 4 different places where you can mark them and fail. I had some people coming in my chat being like, no matter what I do, I fail the quest. It's just like, no, you have to go back and speak to him. And he's just like, you're a moron. Like, I need BTR wheels. Oh, maybe they're on the reserve base, actually. Like, after telling you to go to freaking customs in the actual quest, right? But you can just go to reserve straight away and do it there. It's like, you don't have to, you don't have to fail it. So I was just like, this is the thing. It's like, is that fun? No. Like, I'm going to go and look that up. And so I went to reserve and did that, then handed it in. But apparently there's some kind of like time gating between like when you hand it in, a bit like Lightkeeper. So I handed it in to him and he was like, no, I don't have anything else for you. Some people apparently were getting it straight away. Some people weren't getting it straight away. It's a bit strange. Oh yeah, there's the one where you have to locate and scout the garages as well and like find the BTR guy again. So that was the one before. Which you can do at the same time as Prapple's box. So then you get Hot Wheels where you go and find the doodad. I've just done that. And then after that, you get, which I'm not on yet, but you get like Swift Retribution. We have to kill 10 scouts on woods. And then it starts, there's some quite fun ones. I think there's a, I think there's like some different ways of going through this quest line. There's like some branching somewhere, but I haven't actually figured out exactly where it is yet. I think if you fail, oh, maybe it's this way. If you fail it, if you do Hot Wheels, I think you get to Swift Retribution. If you fail it, then you get a different quest called Inevitable Response, where you have to, which I quite like this as a quest. Kill 5 scouts on woods, transit from woods to reserve, kill 5 scouts on reserve.
Okay.
It's like, it's quite easy, right? But at the same time, like,
it's a challenge.
Would I back myself to get it done in like the first try? Like, no, not necessarily. Got to go to 2 different maps and survive the initial bit of the map and whatnot. Right. So like, kind of interesting. So there's a whole bunch of other stuff. I'm trying to find, because there's loads of them. There seems to be a bunch of different like branches and loads of things. I mean, you can do these at any point through the wipe, I believe. But I'm not sure what happens. Maybe I've gone down one of these branches already. Kill 10 scouts of woods, sell a bunch of items. I'm actually not sure. But there's like keep going. Some people have already finished it. There was one which is hilarious later on. This one where you have to just hand in a military battery in raid. So you have to find it in raid and give it to the BTR man, like in raid, in the same raid. So you got to find it on woods or on streets in raid. Where's the other one? I saw one on. Where is it? I saw one on Twitter. Somebody posted, and it was just like, it was mental. It was mental. I was like, man, this is actually really. I genuinely can't understand one of the branches. Let me see if I can find it. It was like, go here, transit here, kill this person, go here, set a flare off here, go down here, set another flare, transit, kill people. Like, it was just crazy. And I'm not sure which line it is. Like, I don't know yet how it works. Where is it? Let me see.
I'm kind of glad. Oh, go ahead.
Here we go. One of the BTR quests. Good luck. This is from Parents. Locate and obtain the incriminating letter on customs. Use the transit from customs to reserve. Stash the letter on the 3rd floor of the military headquarters in reserve. Use the transit from reserve to woods. Eliminate any target. I don't know if you need to do this all in one life. I guess you do. Eliminate any target on woods, 0 out of 3. Use the transit from woods to lighthouse. You launch the yellow signal flare at the train station warehouse on lighthouse. Then you'll launch yellow signal flare at the pier on lighthouse. And then eliminate 10 scavs whilst completing all the other objectives in total. And then survive and extract from lighthouse. Well, what a quest. I don't even know. But you can buy graphics cards apparently if you do that.
Oh, I've seen.
Man, I don't know.
I've seen barters for graphics cards that are locked behind a quest, so that's probably what that is, huh?
Maybe. But yeah, I don't know. It's kind of interesting. Like, yeah. I like the finding raid, like the in raid trader giving you quests. You have to. It's like a bit more spontaneous. I did a couple of raids. I completed it, and I had to find a BTR, and it's a bad way to play. Actually, I've realized because I spent a lot of time sitting around doing nothing, waiting for him. Much better to do it organically. Like, yeah, I need to do my quest on. What I wanted to do was, I think I had to kill 5 scavs on woods was like the next quest or something. So I was just like, well, look, I'm going to go to woods to go and meet the BTR man to go and get the quest from him, so that then I can go and kill the scavs on woods and then hand it back into him because he's still going to be on the map, right? But the problem is, I didn't have anything else to do on woods. So I basically spent the time just like hands in pockets, waiting for the BTR, like what's the most likely place for him to come. And after doing like basically 2 hours of that across 2 different streams, I was like, yeah, this is a waste of time. I'm not doing this. So I'm like, well, this is what led me to play Streets instead. Because I'm like, the BTR is also on Streets. I've got loads of stuff to do on Streets. Streets is an interesting map anyway, as long as I'm not getting one shot out of spawn literally every raid. But that's another story that we told earlier. And when we see the BTR, I can organically go and hand the quest in and get the next one from him. And then the following raid, I'll play Wood. That's it. Feels more organic. It's better. Like I'm not just trying to do the one thing. And I did end up handing the quest in to him there, but he didn't have the next one. So that's kind of why I got stuck. So I'm just going to carry on playing Streets until I find it. But it's really cool. And what's one thing that's really fun is if you take in enough money, then he's just like, hey, here's all your cool stuff. And he was just like, here's a Tetris and like all these other things. And I was like, oh man, that like a blue flare for the and oh, this is cool. And he's just like, yeah, here's the stuff, like in the middle of like woods or whatever. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't really want this now. I'm just like, oh, can I just pay you to take this stuff back to my stash? And he's like, yeah, no problem. So he's like, here's your quest rewards, and you just like give it to him and he'll deliver it later.
Oh,
Like, man,
that's
this
nice.
is cool. And you can choose, right? It's just like, oh, do I want to go? Do I just want to take way to the exit, or do I want to pay him to take my stuff away? Or so I was just like, yeah, you take away my military power filter and my Tetris. You take that to the stash. Off you go. Thank you. It's good. I love it. That was fun. But no, it's good. I like the BTR. I think it's interesting, and playing it in that way that's going to be quite BTR first before I talk about the last thing that I want to speak about. Have you used it? Have you like run into it?
Yeah, we actually last night. Well, we earlier the day we wanted to do it. We tried a few times, we couldn't find it. There's a little bit of a learning curve. But I was like, yeah. I messaged my duo that morning because I saw the update. I was like, we got a new quest we got to go do. And so last night we hopped back on for like, at least I did for like an hour. And I was like, yeah, let's go try this thing again. So we found the BTR. We chased it all the way to checkpoint because he looked at the wiki to see, because this is my first time playing Wood since they've added the BTR in various updates. So a lot of stuff is new for me, as well for him. So we got in, paid it, got the quest. I was like, oh, this is cool. We got to the new place. It took us like 5 minutes to get there. I was like, man, is there like a peephole? Anything I can see where we are? Like, anyway, so we get there, hop out, and I was like, okay, we're not going to look at the wiki for the quest. We're going to try to find it organically. We're going to use the context clues. It's a package. There's a warehouse building. There's like a gym. There's like a truck. Like we got to we got to be able to figure this out on our own, surely. Spoiler alert, we were dumb. We missed it. I scanned inside the office, everything on the floor, the shelves, but it was underneath the desk this time because there's two spawns. There's one on the desk and one underneath the desk, but we couldn't find. I was like, it's got to be in this building. It's got to be here. It's got to be. Is it underneath the train? I like proned and I saw like there's a little concrete landing for the train for people like to get on. I was like, oh my god, I see junk down there. Is it under there? Do we gotta crawl and look under there? I was like, just look up the wiki. We got 10 minutes left. Like, just look it up. Anyways, so we did that, and that was fun, and the new area was really cool. And I hope that we get a further woods expansion because it's kind of like a fortified area, and I could see you like, shooting out from that area at other people. So I was like, that'd be cool if they like in a future update they made this all cohesive, like it's not mined off. But yeah, we did it and it was fun. It's cool, and I'm looking forward to the other challenges that. But yeah, we probably will be using the wiki because case in point, that Hot Wheels quest, I would have read it and I would have said, okay, the quest is on customs. It's got to be, right? They said it in the dialogue. That's as good as a clue as we're going to get. We know tires are on customs. And yeah, we would have got. So, just use the wiki as the moral of the story.
Yeah. I just don't find it fun anymore.
Right.
Like
it's
that.
a cute little troll. Like, haha,
Yeah.
that was the joke. But you just wasted my time.
I think I did it sort of like a half, whereas I knew where I knew where I had to get to BTR Depot. Got there and I said, chat, which building is it in?
Mm-hmm.
And people were like, oh, it's that one. And then I looked and found it, right? I didn't use the wiki to see the exact spot and go through. But like, if it had taken me approximately longer than around a minute,
right,
I think it would just been like, hell, I'm pulling that up right now. Let's go.
Yeah.
Like, no, I've done the thing. I had a very long conversation the other day about like, oh, this is going to segue perfectly again. Like, we've had like I keep like touching around the topic of this like last big piece that I want to talk about, and this is perfect time to talk about it. We had a big long conversation with chat the other day about like doing the stuff you want to do in EFT. And it was mainly about achievements, and it was about like the winter event and about how with Korov or whatever. And like I just don't feel unless it's a reward that I really want, I don't feel like that the necessity to do it. And it was maybe broken a little bit by the Malasanita event, the one with the bonfires, where it was like basically impossible as a solo unless you brought like 600 bullets. I don't think you could really do it because you had to shoot the fires like 7 times with tracer ammo, and they were so far apart. Some of the places where they spawned, you just couldn't set them all on fire and keep them lit on your own. And I decided on that one that all that matters, like the Tarkov the game, like it's the experience that matters, right? It's not whether the account has the achievement tick or whatever, right? I went and did the thing. I basically did the event, but I didn't get a check mark in my account because I couldn't keep the things lit. But I got the experience, and I did the thing, and I played with everybody else, and it was fun, and it was enjoyable, and played the event, and it was a good time. I tried Korov one time. It didn't seem that enjoyable. I tried it once with a bunch of regs off Discord, and it was miserable as I thought it was probably going to be. And you get some winter clothing, and I don't care. And I don't know. That's how I feel about Kappa these days as well. It's just like if I don't want to do the stuff that requires you to get the thing, that's fine. Like people are asking me all the time, like, are you going to prestige? I'm just, it requires Kappa, so no. Like 95% likelihood I'm not going to, because I don't want to do shootable now, and I just don't want to do it. Like some people love bolt actions, and I don't really. So that's just it. Like it's fine. You can just play the game the way that you want to play it. It's okay. We all need to be a little. We just need to let go of it. And the reason why this became up so readily was there was a big post from Nice Guy, who I don't really want to single out particularly, but I mean he made a massive post. It's very long, and I mean even he put a TLDR in his own tweet. That was a very, very thoughtful. But he basically said, TLDR, I just played Streets for 11 hours straight, and it just ended the wipe for me. Be back when there's some interesting events pre-wipe in a few months. Now, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but the long and the short of it was, the reason why he did that was because he's trying to do the arena quests, I think, and he's trying to do the one where you have to kill 3 Colantine, 3 Caban guards without hurting like Caban or I think. Like I did it last wipe hard. But just until, just 3 milliseconds ago, the spawn rates for these guys was 10%. And so in the same vein, I like it's like I have like there's 2 halves of me here, which like half of me is like, I get it. You want to participate in the video game, it's giving you the quests, you want to do them. I understand the feeling of wanting to do that. I get it. I really do get it. I really do. But I caught myself doing this the other day, which is why I was like, okay, we're going to change it. Which is I really want to do the BTR quest line. Everyone's powering down the BTR quest line. It's fun to see the new stuff. No one really knows how it like branches, what the rewards are. Like some people have finished it, but like have they seen the other branch? Like it's cool. I like it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But is it worth me sitting there for 2 hours waiting just for the BTR, doing just exclusively that? No, it isn't. You don't need to be there first. It's not. I know that's coming from a creator as well, right? It's not that important. It's better that you just do the things that are enjoyable. I want to play Streets. I want to do other stuff. And if I stumble upon the BTR, it's better it to be organic. Like, so half of me, I get it. I get it. But like the other half of me is like the one-way ticket to giving yourself a mental health crisis about this video game is grinding the quest for 12 hours, 11 hours, when you know the spawn rate is 5%. Yes, it should be higher. I understand, and it's okay to give that constructive feedback. But doing that to yourself you're just going to do yourself an injury, man. Like, just don't do it to yourself. Like, do the stuff that's fun and interesting. And some people enjoy the suffering, like how though it is, and they have the time to do it, and that's okay. That's also okay. But like, if you're going to play a quest to the extent that you literally won't play again until 6 months when the pre-wipe events come through, like, I don't get it. It just seems crazy to me. So like, I half sympathize, and I think that's the thing. I think there's 2 parts to it where you can be critical about the systems and say, look, this needs to change because this is basically impossible unless you're really degenning this thing. And then there's the pragmatic side, which is saying, once it changes, I'll give it a try. But right now, it's not worth my sanity, to go and do this thing. So I'm like 50% sympathetic and 50% just like, you brought this upon yourself. And like I was talking on stream about how you were in the same boat. Like, I'm
Yeah.
gonna get Kappa, I'm gonna get Kappa, and you're just like, and then you start to kill the goons, and then 40 raids on customs later, you've seen them dead 3 times or whatever, and you nearly lost your mind. And then you decided, well, I'm not going to do that again because it absolutely sucked, right? And it's like,
Yeah. It
yeah,
wasn't
like
my
there's no
definition of
mechanic.
fun. That's for sure.
No, like there's no mechanic for bringing them in. It's just RNG,
Yeah.
and it was RNG on your spawn, etc., etc. So
I mean,
just
would
don't
it,
do it. Just don't do it.
you know, maybe I just need to hit 41 raids and I would have got it and I would have got the thing
It's
and it would have all
the
been
diamond
worth.
miner, you know, the
Yes,
diamond miner is
exactly.
just this like.
And, you know, I mean, but at the end of the day, it's just like, it's super easy to put your nose to the grinder or whatever the proverb is and just like brute force a quest, you know? But like, it's not, as you said, it's not about the check mark, it's not about the thing, it's the experience. You know, your time is super valuable. Why make yourself suffer? Like it's just not really that important, you know? It's like screw what other people think, screw what you think. It's like it's just you don't need the shiny thing. You don't got to be the first. It's like do stuff for your own sake, I guess, you know. Be selfish.
Yeah,
Enjoy life. Enjoy Tarkov if that's possible.
exactly. It's definitely possible.
It
It's
is.
definitely possible. But yeah, just like I don't even know. Limit the hours, little and often if you want to play it
Yeah.
like that. You know,
I
it's
mean,
like early wipe super fun, but
we were playing interchange one day and my friend hates interchange, right? And I understand, you know, you're a bit of an interchange unenjoyer, you know. I get it. A lot of people don't like it. I understand. I used to hate it as well. But, you know, we were playing it and I was just getting dunked on, like just dunked on constantly. And it was like 3 raids in. My friend was already just like not having a good time. I wasn't having a good time. I was, you know, gearing up, but then I was just like, you know what? I need to take a break. I'm not really enjoying myself. Like, I think I need a break. And I took like a 48-hour break from Tarkov that time. I was just like, you know, I just kind of want to chill out for a bit. No more extraction shooters for a little bit. And then came back after 48 hours and like was a little hesitant to get back into it because like, man, I was getting dunked on. But yeah, we started playing and just like had some good raids and it's like, yeah. And that's kind of what we're doing. We're not like we're doing a little bit of min maxing, you know. Where do we got a lot of quest at? But if either of us kind of just feel like we've reached our limit with something, it's just like, all right, let's switch it up or let's stop playing, you know. It's like we both played this game too much to get back to that point where it's just like nose in the sand, you know, pack of armor on, shotgun, I'm in dorms. You know, it's like I'm not grinding, I'm not making my time miserable here. This is the
yeah,
wipe of fun. The flea market was banned for 15 days. Was it 15 days?
something like
It was great. It was magical. We're going to keep the magic going. Tarkov is back. We are so back, baby.
that. But yes, just chill. Do what you want to do. Do what you want to
Yeah,
do.
have
Every
fun.
wipe at the beginning, I'm just like, am I gonna do shootable? Am I gonna
I
take the
know.
bolster? Am I gonna do it? Am
Even
I
I
really
was
gonna do it?
tempted, Giga. I was thinking about it. It's like, Shooterborn,
Yeah.
Kappa, but no.
Because if you're gonna do it, you got to do it early, right?
That's
You
the
got to start
thing.
the playing with the most in from day one. I mean, I guess you need to get the quest first, but you know, you got to start bolting like pretty early
To get
if
the
you want to
most
do it.
advantage, you know, because you
Yeah,
don't want
because
to
people are
spend
like
eternity on
close
it.
range. Yeah, you know, people are close range, and it's one of the big blockers, and you don't want to do it later when there's nobody there, or people are just like, you know, fully meta geared out with like, you know,
Right.
M4s with M9M5 or whatever, because it makes it so much harder than when the other guy's got, you know, a set up shotgun. You know, it's just different. It's just different. Ah, boy. Oh, boy. Well, look, I'm still enjoying myself for sure. I'm in
Oh,
making the way
yeah.
up to level 4 traders. I'm at level 37, but I don't have Peacekeeper yet because I haven't done enough of his quests.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at.
The thing in my head is just like, I'm putting off Lighthouse task, and I genuinely don't know if I have it in me to do like Punisher. Like, I need to look at the quest line of Punisher and see what I'm willing to give up to not do. Like, I'll go to Lighthouse and plant some markers, right? Like,
Mm.
that's fine. But I'm not gonna go to Lighthouse, wear a scav vest, and like camp in a bush for 30 minutes at a choke point to get my 10 PMC kills for Punisher. Like, I'm just not gonna do that. I did that last swipe, and I hated it. It was awful. It was not fun. It was a chore. Like, I've seen Reddit posts or comments or whatever, and people are like, "Oh, the quest Lighthouse isn't that bad. Just pull up a movie, like watch this HBO show while you play the game." I'm just like, what? That's not playing a game. Like I just fundamentally just hate that line of that's like I don't know how people do that. It just
It's
can't be
the
me.
it's the Leviticus video one where he's just like, the amazing thing about how you can not be playing the and be wildly successful.
Yeah. It's just like,
The
what
only
the
game where that's
hell?
possible. You know what? Like even I have thought about doing it this wipe, right? Because I'm busy in the day. When I'm not streaming, I'm not playing EFT. I'm writing scripts. I'm designing thumbnails and stuff. I'm at the computer though, so I can legitimately have the game open and be sat in a bush with a shotgun or an MP7, right? And you walk up and then brrr, and you're dead. I'm like I've been like this close a few times,
Yeah.
and then I think about getting the beat spawn 50% of my raids, and I don't do it. But it's the thing.
Well, see, that's the worst part because then you get into a cycle where it's like, I feel like I'm wasting my time. Would it make more sense for me just to like pull out an F1 grenade and kill myself and then, do
Oh
some other task and then
yeah,
come back and load back in? Did I get the dice roll? Yes. You know what I mean? And I get it. You're being efficient with your time as much as possible. But like, I don't know. I went to have fun and I remember suffering Lighthouse that one wipe. And I don't, I don't know if I love myself enough to not do that again or if I hate myself enough to not do that again. I'm not sure which one it is, but uh,
oh my god. Okay, fine. Very last question then, because we're probably going over a little bit, and we
mhm.
started a bit late. Very final question for that is, where should Punisher 4 be then? They took it off Shoreline, I think, thank God, but then they put it on literally the worst map they could have put it on. So you know what you said about Interchange earlier? I'm actually coming around to Interchange, given how much I hate Lighthouse. It's that bad. Like Lighthouse is like pushing Interchange up in my estimations. Like it really is. Where should it be?
I mean,
Could it just be anywhere?
you could do anywhere. I for one, I personally don't have a problem with Shoreline only because you had so many Shoreline tasks to begin with. It just like naturally fit in to it. But yeah, someone says you could just put it on any map and like that. That's
Yeah.
even
Maybe no factory, no labs, or maybe no ground zero as well, or something, and just like
yeah,
be like, oh, the regular maps. But you can do it wherever otherwise, right? You could do
right,
it
right.
streets, customs, woods, reserve, lighthouse if you're a masochist.
Just any map, but I literally have not gone to Lighthouse this wipe, and I have like probably at least 7 quests on there, and I probably won't go there till it's like one thing I did want to ask you with the transits because I had a bit
Hmm.
of an evil idea. We've had to experience what my friend was playing Shoreline, and I died, but he made it to the extra, and he was streaming it, and he saw interact pop up and he thought it was to plant the Wi-Fi camera for fence because you get that thing. So he did it and then realized it was a transit. So he was like, crap, I'm locked in. I got to play Lighthouse. I hate my life, etc.
I'm
But
locked in.
yeah, so I looked at the maps and I saw that
Hmm.
there's like transit reserve on Lighthouse, which is the car extract. So I'm thinking if you spawn to reserve, take the transit to Lighthouse, do you spawn right there at the car extract? Is that how that system works?
They've turned that off.
Okay, that's what I thought. Because now the source, the wiki, I think it was, says that you spawn at the closest spawn to that extract.
Yeah, they've turned that off because that was causing people to spawn in together from different parties. That was the issue.
Mm-hmm.
So they've had to turn it off for now because it wasn't working because people were
Yeah.
spawning in together right at the start, which was not good. But it's a shame that they've done that because I actually really liked it and it made things like Korovod make more sense, right? And you could like pick spawns for certain maps. Like
That's what I
without
was
it, I actually don't like the
thinking.
transit system that much.
Mm.
But yeah, if it's going to be bugged, obviously they want to turn it off, right? Like I hope that they bring it back. I hope that it's not just been canned. They're like, oh, we can't work out how to do it, so we just can it. I think it'd be a shame if that's the case. But yeah, this is off for now. So you just random spawns when you transit again, back to the way it was before.
Because I was
It's
like,
unfortunate.
oh my God, we got to plant markers at the tanks because I want to get the M80, right? Assuming it's still locked behind that task where you got to plant markers at the water
Yeah, it
treatment.
is.
So I was like, oh, if we just spawn at the car, we're like halfway there already. Like that's gonna be so much easier. But there
Mhm.
goes that idea.
Yeah, it was a good one. It was interesting. I actually liked it. I like that
Hmm.
for that in particular. It's like, oh, I don't like this map, or I don't like this angle, or I've got a quest, I want to do it in this way, but I don't mind playing reserve. I can just go out of the transit,
Yeah, you
get a better angle.
you trade time and difficulty for a more consistent spawn. Like it's an interesting proposition.
Yeah, it's cool. I like it, but yeah, it's a shame it's gone for now.
Yeah.
I hope it stays. I hope it comes back.
All right. I think we should conclude the cast. Giga's slouched. I can see he's ready
I'm
for.
thinking about Lighthouse, and it's just making me want to cry. Honestly, like I'm 5 out of 10 on Punisher 4. Oh God, it's a right
Oh, you've
slog.
already been there.
Oh yeah, I've done bits and pieces, but I've had so many times of just like the map's completely static and stationary at the beginning,
Yeah.
no shots, nothing. I'm in the village and I run up the incline to get into the back route through towards the chalets, and I'm like going up the incline, M62 to the head.
Hmm.
I just had so much of that. Or like I'm fighting somebody in the passageway between upper chalet and lower chalet, and then I start getting shot at with like LPS from across the way, and it's like, can I just have a CQB fight in peace? Like the only place that I can have that in peace is inside the chalet, and then 50%
Yeah.
of the time I don't hear them turn up,
Oh, true.
or someone's already waiting inside, completely silent, and it's just
Right.
like the mat's just driving me insane.
Yeah.
It's driving me insane. I think you're better. Like I would have a better KD on that map, doing exactly what you said, like finding a bush, waiting in it, and just staying there, waiting for people to come past. It would be easier. It genuinely would be easier. Right. It's mad. I did have one good moment where I had the horrible most southern spawn, but on the lighthouse side of the beach, next to the lighthouse kind of crossing, that one. And there's nowhere for you to go. You run down the beach into more spawns, or you run across the road into more spawns, and it's awful. And I was like, I'm just going to run the gauntlet, and I just sprinted painkillered across the street. As I came across, the guy from the Southern Road spawn or whatever was like crawling up the hill, killed him, ran up, grabbed his Mosin, and there was another dude from the spawn ahead of me down the beach running across the road towards the rock as well after hearing the shots, I guess. And I just pulled out this dude's Mosin with the PU scope on it and just one tap this guy in the street. I was like, damn. So I got 1 out of 5 shoot born in heaven for Lighthouse, because I just like nailed this guy right in the middle of the road. I was like, well, that was unexpected, but I'll take it.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the good moment, but it's been offset by just like, yeah, dying literally every other raid. I probably played 10 Lighthouse raids or something.
Oh, I'm
I've
sorry.
killed 5 players, and I think I've extracted maybe twice.
Mm-hmm.
It's been rough. It's been rough. But we can't hate on it too much because we've got a whole episode to make about it. It's the point. So
Yeah.
maybe that is
All right.
that's not
Biannual lighthouse hating episode.
biannual Lighthouse hating. This it still sucks. Still. Yeah. One of our
Yeah.
most viewed episodes each wipe, by the way, for whatever reason. People want to hear us mold that Lighthouse for
Unrelated.
2 hours. I don't know why.
It's not like it's a common experience and relatable to everyone's individual experience or anything. Oh, but everyone, do yourself a favor. I mean, if you're a Lighthouse hater, go watch Leviticus video on Lighthouse. He put one out just recently, like a week ago, and it's just like it's a hating video, but also like you know
He's funny. So
some suggestive stuff on how to rework it. Because yeah, I just like pray to God we do actually. I hope they don't just be like, deal with it, suck it up, and they do a rework. Because anyways, yeah, saving for next week's guys likely. God, I genuinely don't know if I have it in me to do Lighthouse. So I am actually going to have to look it up and see what I'm willing to give up. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. I will report back because it's coming. Like
Right.
the map
your homework is to complete Punisher Part 4 by next week.
Yep. All right.
Okay.
Thanks everyone for tuning in. as always, appreciate your support. Shout out to the live audience. Tons of chatter going on. Probably missed out on tons of good stuff, but I'm glad everyone's joining in the conversation. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you all next week.
Catch you later.